What is up, guys? Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. It's me. I'm here.
And I'm here too.
It's Jeff. He lives here.
And today we have a special episode for you. We're talking about soy sauce. So
that's it. We're going to spend the next 2 hours of your life just discussing soy sauce.
Now, this is a Lucky brand soy sauce, 4-in-1. Where do you even get that from? Is
no
that
idea.
The Japanese place? Thai.
It might have been from the Thai place. Canadian Spider-Man's here. Says, hail Jesse and Jeff. Hail Canadian Spider-Man. Hail Beth. Matt G is here. Greg Kirby's here. He was just over on the High Council. So welcome to you, Greg, and anyone else joining us over here coming from the High Council. Andrew Cole,
Matt G
Jordan D'Ambrini. Oh, Matt G, welcome over here as well. Sweet P, what's up? Obi-Wan 27883, a long time no see, and happy birthday again to you, buddy. Nathaniel Cadogan. Oh man, it's been a while. Nathaniel Cadogan for like all of 2018 was like the first person in my live streams every time. KR Companions here. Let's see, I saw him over in your chat earlier as well too. I don't know if you noticed I was in there at one point.
Did you not notice I put your shit on screen?
Oh, I didn't.
Including the 3 black hearts.
Oh, okay.
Because it's kind of our thing, but hey.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, Super Gajera 99 is here. Dr. Coffin Nails is over here. Bionic Belly Button. So welcome everyone. The James Baker, of course. Welcome everyone just joining us. Welcome everyone coming over from the High Council. Welcome everyone. Period.
Hello there, children.
So I didn't. Usually I post this on Twitter so I can shout out to people who are like. And I post for them and be like, let me shout out if you're going to watch this in the replay. So hello to everyone watching on the replay. I didn't do that one just because just a little bit ago I did make a post that I think is slightly more important, and I didn't want to take anything away from that. I was just listening to some of the stuff that the High Council was saying, you know, that you guys were talking about in the very beginning about Chadwick Boseman and whatnot, and just getting more upset about people trying to like capitalize off of it. And I've kind of, you know, I had nothing to really say or add in the beginning when I first heard about it. Nothing to, you know, this is nothing to do with me outside of just being a Marvel fan and generally a fan of his work. It just really bothers me. But then I realized, too, there's some good that can happen from this. I was talking to my parents. My dad is a doctor. He works at a cancer center. And he pointed out things like, you know, colon cancer and how it affects the Black community disproportionate to the white community. And how, you know, he said, like, if he had been in Chadwick Boseman's position, he would have used that platform. And obviously the family still can, you know, as a way to raise awareness for colon cancer, right? You know, destigmatize it in society and encourage people to go and, you know, get tested and stuff like that. So that's sort of basically while people are thinking about it, while it's fresh in their minds, I'm using the opportunity to, you know, people attention's getting grabbed by, Chadwick Boseman. So I just made a tweet basically saying, you know, if you're going to use it for anything, use it to raise awareness for colon cancer. So
real quick to everyone that wants to speak for him, like, on social media about like, they should replace Shuri and all this stuff and put those kind of words in his mouth. Why don't you lead by example and look at what he actually did? Because
exactly. I don't think the guy that didn't want anyone even to know he was sick would want you to go fire people that he probably really liked and had good relationships with just because, you can't have, I'm sure, you know, that's, and maybe, who knows, like, given that he knew about this diagnosis, I guarantee you probably people at Marvel, I'm sure, you know, people he worked with at Marvel had to have known because they had to have worked with him, you know, during his treatments and stuff around the shooting schedule and whatnot. So obviously, I'm sure people he worked with knew and stuff. And it's possible, for all we know, you know, he may already have made an arrangement with Marvel as to what to do. They may already have spoken about it. I would imagine, knowing that you have a finite amount of time and knowing that you have the mantle of this character you know, that where it's intended that you're going to be in it moving forwards. I'm sure they had a contingency plan, you know, knowing his diagnosis, and I'm sure that I'm sure that it's something that if he wanted to be involved in, he was able to be in his life. And basically, if he wasn't, you know, if it's the kind of thing where he didn't get involved, if he didn't say anything to Marvel Studios or talk to anybody about what he would like to see with Black Panther moving forwards, then I think we can all assume that doesn't care that much one way or the other. Otherwise, he would have said something when he had the chance. And otherwise, maybe we find out that he did. Maybe we find out that we know what his wishes were, and have the opportunity to respect them. But certainly, even if Marvel Studios does know something, the time they, unlike Screen Rant, understand that the time to come out and say, this is what we're doing with Black Panther moving forwards, is not days after his death when the world's still reeling from it.
Not even
fucking hours in the case of Screen Rant.
Yeah, I couldn't think of it. I was like, Screen Rant?
Yeah, so for all we know, there's already a plan in place. And I just think the people kind of making this about, who's going to play Black Panther, or anything about what's going to happen to Black Panther, are being so ridiculously selfish. A human being lost his life, a human being with a family, with people who loved him and cared about him, lost his life. And you're concerned with, is my movie going to suffer as a result? Like, really? Because that's what it is at the end of the day.
It's not even like, I will say, this isn't even Disney doing that. It's people who politicize Black Panther.
When I say my movie, I don't mean I don't mean my movie as in The Prophet. I mean my movie as in, the movie that I'm going to get to go see and enjoy is not going to be as good as what I want. No, that's what I meant. People are so precious and selfish about something that doesn't even belong to them. That doesn't even have anything to do with them. And I think it's just stupid. So it's, Sylvan says, hasn't been a week so shameful. Like, why are you concerned about that? Why is that your concern? And when I heard about what they're saying to Elizabeth Olsen, I'm like, how disgusting and selfish. This woman is probably in mourning because she actually knew the guy and is dealing with that in whatever way she chooses, which may or may not involve being on social media at all. Maybe she turned off all of her fucking devices, and disconnected for a day to take some time to maybe reach out to how do you know what the fuck maybe she reached out to the fucking family. Maybe she was on the phone with family members, offering her services. Maybe not. Maybe she was just quietly dealing with this in her own way. And to go after her, to actually attack her, for not grieving in the way that you think she should, it's beyond me. I mean, the level of entitlement. People want to say, the fandom menace represents fan entitlement. No, that shit. Let's talk about how that represents fan entitlement. And that's not a single goddamn person from the fandom menace.
Because it's why? Because it's politicized on the other side. Black Panther has become a thing where the media and the people that are on the side of woke or whatever you want to say, they can't call this out because it is to place blame on the kind of people that think Black Panther represents them. It's not even a color thing that I'm talking about. Yeah. I saw just as many bullshit. I saw more bullshit articles from random white people than I did black people. That were complaining, or talking about how culturally relevant it is. And I also, too, I hated the comment. I didn't tell you this because I didn't post it yet, but somebody posted on Twitter how no white artist should be able to draw Black Panther in memory of whatever. I'm like, you do realize he was created by two Jewish white dudes in New York. There wasn't a Black Panther. There wasn't a Black Panther artist for a while because Jack Kirby drew him in all the Fantastic Four books. Then John Buscema was drawing him in the Avengers books, and John Buscema was a white Italian man. So then you get to maybe Keith Pollard drew him. I knew there was a couple artists in the 70s that were black that were drawing Black Panther. But also they had black artists drawing Spider-Man. It's always like, I wish these people would forget or would stop acting like just because you're not the right color doesn't mean you're not qualified, because that is the shit that black people fought for during the civil rights movement. Just because I'm black doesn't mean I'm not able to vote or do this or do that.
Exactly. Make decisions that affect white people. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole thing is it's so innate too, because on the side where they're like, you need a black writer to write black stories and whatnot. It's like, at least there's an argument there. I don't think you have to be black to write black characters. I do think it makes sense if you're going to actually write a black story. If your work has to do culture, it makes more sense to remember the culture. You probably have more perspective. But
depends on where.
Depends on where. Yeah, sure. The thing is,
sorry. Because people consider black stories like, financial adversity and shit like that. It's like, what if you're like Dion and you grew up in the fucking country?
Yeah.
What's Dion's black story? I mean, growing up in the country with a bunch of white people.
I mean, the point is, like, at least there's a basis for the argument to say that only black people should write black characters. It's stupid, and I don't agree with it. But there's a logical basis for that argument. It comes from an idea that you have to be black to understand a black experience. That is That's a logical starting point, even if I don't agree with the argument or the conclusion. You have to be black to draw a black character, specifically a black character inside of a uniform?
And a fictional African country that doesn't exist?
It's like, so what, you have to be Wakandan to play Wakandan? Because, sorry, there ain't no such fucking thing. Newsflash, Chadwick Boseman was not from Africa. You know?
I have no clue where he was from, but he was from America.
He was from America, and no one was up in arms that, oh, we didn't get Africans to play Wakandans and shit like that. It's just, and then it exactly is exactly what you talk about. Then you're literally just, you're just drawing racial lines and saying you can't do this thing because you're white. You know, and that's the only reason. The only reason is because you're white. And once you get into that, I'm sorry, but there's just no difference. You know, people want to argue institutional racism, institutional this, you know, that makes it okay then to say these things or treat white people this way. And what I always go back to is, what is the end game? Are you railing against, you know, the system in search of social justice, knowing that you're never going to get it, saying that, nope, the status was always going to be like this and we're never going to get it. So you're not actually committed to changing things. You're just committed to bitching about things and having an excuse to say, fuck you, whitey. All right, well then shut up, you whiny little bitch, and go home. Or on the flip side of that, are you actually committed to changing the system? Okay, you want to change the system so we don't have institutional racism anymore. We don't have, you know, this precedence for racism built into our society. Great. So you change the whole system, you change society, but you've built this new system under the precedence that it is totally fine to discriminate against white people for being white. So now you have your brand new society run entirely by minority people, and then how do you think your white people are getting treated in that society? Exactly the same way white people treated black people, you know, earlier on in this country's history. All you're doing is setting yourself up to begin the cycle again. You really want a world where there's actual equality? You got to stop treating certain people like they're greater than or lesser than other people because of their skin color, no matter what that skin color is. Otherwise, you will never have equality.
I agree 100%.
That's all. All right, super chats are rolling. Let's get a few super chats. Also, if you're just joining us, make sure you do press the like button. We like to hit at least 100 likes. I'll check our progress on that in a second. First, we got Obi-Wan. 27883. Thank you for the super chat. He says, "Is this a drinking stream?" Come back on Thursday. Rick Astley for president 2020.
Hey, while you read this, can I have a sour cream kind of
sure thing.
By the way, do you know why Rick Astley should be president?
Why should Rick Astley?
Because he'll never give you up. What you done?
Ain't you? Greg Kirby says $2 for Shapancake.
Hello.
Shapancake does have a channel, guys. He does have a video up. I'll post the link in the chat, but we'll share it a little bit later. You guys are going to watch it all here together. But if you don't mind, make sure you visit Shapancake's new channel and give him a subscribe because he wants it. Because he's adorable. Not adorable, Papa. Beth, thank you for the super chat. Says, "I'm proud to announce that after a week or so, I am officially ant-free." Woo! I hope our suggestions help. Beth, either way, I'm glad to hear that you are without ants. That's wonderful. Ha! Rosetta says, "You want those tacos? Come visit me." Let me show you what she sent me earlier. That's an Indian taco, according to her.
We need to order tacos now.
Crazy Horse. Yeah, look at that. That
looks delicious.
That looks glorious, Rosetta.
Do we have tacos like that out here?
Maybe somewhere. Anyway, thank you for the super chat and thank you for sending me that earlier, Rosetta. It definitely made me hungry. And we've also got Rosetta Allen says, "Please, everyone, keep Hubby in your thoughts. He was exposed and he's in full quarantine. I miss him a lot." Oh, that sucks.
Sorry to hear that, Rosetta.
Very sorry to hear that. We'll definitely be sending him our positive thoughts, positive vibes. We love him. He's a great guy. So I'm hoping that test comes back negative. And Anthony Sholey, thank you for the super chat. Light note, Zack Snyder's adapting The Fountainhead.
It's just what I always wanted.
Funny, we were just talking about Ayn Rand earlier.
No. South Park fucking burned her ass. What'd they say about that book? It's a stupid fucking book and they did something to it.
It made Officer Bradbury quit reading.
Yeah, it's like book reading or whatever. That was the funniest belly laugh I've had in a while. I realized that we can't talk about
Atlas Shrugged, though, not The Fountainhead. Yeah.
Well, Ayn Rand. All Ayn Rand shit.
Yeah. What?
Did you read all super chats?
Yeah, super chats are read.
Well, folks, I wanted to bring this up, but we haven't even talked about it since Jesse finally saw Animal House.
I did!
And for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind, we can talk about what you can't do in movies anymore, which is sad, and what you thought of it. So, I'm interviewing you now, like I interview people on my channel. So, Jesse Milestone,
me.
Welcome.
Hi.
So, you just saw Animal House for the first time, and as somebody who is a fan of comedies and a writer of film yourself. What did you think of Animal House?
I thought it was brilliant. I really did. So there's a thing that comedies don't do as much anymore, I've noticed, and it's be ridiculous. You know, I feel like comedies, even ones that are, and I feel like you have one of two things. You have ridiculousness for the sake of ridiculousness that doesn't actually enhance the story, and I feel like that's like 90% of Will Ferrell's comedy. I think when he gets it right, the ridiculousness kind of enhances your characters, your story, stuff like that. I feel like most of what we saw in Eurovision kind of that was a nice, refreshing change of pace. You know, harkening back to an older comedy like an Animal House kind of thing, where they're not afraid to just keep upping the ante in it. You know, and that was really it was you know, refreshing to go back and see something in that era where you could do that ridiculousness. And justify it within the story. So the other thing that comedies do, I think, is take themselves too seriously, which is dumb, you know, as a or they want to, or comedies, you know, they hold themselves to the same standards of verisimilitude that dramas do. And the reality is that is not there, you know. For all intents and purposes, Animal House is grounded in a sense of reality. But there are certain things like John Belushi's entire character that just isn't. 7 years of college down the drain.
Hey, he would go on to be a U.S. senator.
That's true. That was the most believable part of the movie.
Honestly. So there's a, you know, I talk about the Clerks cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch one of the episodes, it talks about, you've seen the movie Stand By Me, correct?
I have not.
Okay, well, the end of Stand By Me, it tells about where all the kids went. And so in the Richard Dreyfuss parody in the Clerks cartoon, they're like, he would go on to be Senator Robert Blutarski. So basically, Silent Bob would grow up to be Bluto.
That's hilarious. That's whatchamacallit. They should do an updated version of Animal House where the only thing they change is that instead of Blutarski, they should just make his name Brett Kavanaugh. Because that was my takeaway from all this hearing and stuff, was that Brett Kavanaugh partied hard in college. That was my takeaway.
We all partied hard in college. That's the college movie that I most identify with, because there were periods in my life where I never lived in a frat house, but we did dumb shit like that. I thought that was so fun, because that was the other things about that movie. It was so relatable. It was so, we all know college kids who were like that if we weren't like that ourselves. We all knew that, you know, that one girl who was sleeping with the professor because of his intellect and not anything else. You know, and usually those were where it was like weird, you know, treated in a way where like cheating on your boyfriend or cheating on someone with the professor was not like looked at the same as like cheating on with another student or something like that. Yeah, it was a lot of just really recognizable things, you know, and that idea of a rivalry, you know, the good kids versus the bad kids and stuff, which is, you know, a lot of fun. I thought it hit on a lot of really great universal tropes. Obviously, it sparked jokes that would be used and reused for generations. There were a couple lines in the movie you're like, wait, this comes from this?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't realize I was here first. Just like the thank you, sir, may I have another.
That was the exact line you referenced.
Yeah, and yeah, it was just really, it had this timelessness. It hasn't lost a step, except in the fact that there are certain things that they did or said in the movie you just couldn't do today.
I think you could, but you shouldn't. Well,
yeah, no. and realistically though, the changes, the updates, and also just get canceled out of hand today for being problematic. The woke culture would not allow it to be made in any form today because it's problematic and celebrating toxic masculinity and bullshit like that. But really, you know, to update it, if you were going to make it today outside of the guise of woke culture, if we're going to remove all the current political correctness, really the only, you know, updates, it's like, I think you can even get away with some of the stuff they say about taking advantage of women and stuff like that. Because in the context, again, of a comedy, it's one of those things where you're making a joke, but you're joking about something that does actually happen. It's that realness that makes you laugh. It's just really, I think they use the gay slur a couple times, if I remember.
But to be fair, so does Bill and Ted.
So does Bill and Ted, you know, the older Bill and Ted's too. And there's the part where they go to the club, and it's like a black dance club, and the big black guys come and ask their dates to dance.
We have your dates. Or
clearly scared, and they just leave them there, and they get in the car. Oh, the Negroes took our dates. You'd have to, that whole scene probably wouldn't fly so much. today.
Well, the thing about Animal House too is it has a plot, but it's almost like old school. It's just a series of skits at times where it's just like, here's this skit, and then we're on to this skit, and then this with the car skit, and all. Oh, yeah, it works great. Really, it's a great movie. No knocking it, but a lot of that movie just feels like they wrote bits, and then they had this framework of we're in college.
They had this sort of overarching narrative, but really, really not a whole lot. The moments that actually drive the narrative plot are just when we watch the scenes where we see the dean talking about Delta House, the hearing, and then the parade,
I love Dean Wormer.
And they're all just, it's just a bunch of different sort of set pieces strung together that it's a very, it's one part sketch comedy, one part coming of age story for the two little freshmen, and one part, just ridiculous comedy.
The part that you lost your shit in was the fucking drunk wife of the dean.
Oh my god, that was such
Jesse's
a fucking
imagine going to a party and drinking yourself stupid and then blacking out in a car and jumping to a kid's
because I'm just thinking because she's like, I have this dinner. It's like you're sitting at the dinner just going to town on your flask. This your husband, that's your pompous ass husband that you hate, at this stupid ass seniors dinner full surrounded by kids you can't stand, and all you can do is think about that one sexy college kid that you should not be thinking about, and that's the last thing that's burned into your brain before it stops making memories. So you fucking drive your drunk ass over and bang some college kid. Oh my god. And then somehow get your drunk ass back home where you're then, sloppily flirting with your husband. Oh my god. That was such a crack up. I just little things it was just fun, the way you build when you build characters for comedies, you build them off of tropes. So what's his face that where the whole thing, the one leader, house leader guy, everyone likes him. Everyone's the one that everyone's attracted to. That's the whole joke of it. It's like, he finds out it's the dean's wife, still hits on her, she still bangs him.
Larry from Burn Notice.
What?
Larry from Burn Notice.
It's the girl, the same girl who tells whatchamacallit, the same girl who tells the other guy that this guy's stealing his girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Isn't she the one making eyes at him at the end?
Yeah.
And it's little things like that. It's everybody
jerking the dude up. She's like, is this supposed to be this? Just little bits like that.
Yeah, that was a running thing too with that guy, because it was the girlfriend that was cheating on him said that first, and then she says that, and then all of a sudden she's now interested in this other guy. Yeah, but just the little running bits like that, or Boone never had time for his girlfriend and stuff, and just little things, these little repeated motifs that sort of get you invested in the world. It makes you feel like you're in on the joke. That's the whole thing. It's what's a frat house based on? What are groups of friends like that based on? They're based on your history, your traditions, your jokes together. Just look at your show, your podcast, same kind of thing. And when we have these things that repeat and stuff like that, it just makes the audience feel like you're in on the joke. And everyone likes to feel like they're in on the joke. That's why it feels good. That's why you want to be a part of it. That's why you want to go back and watch it again, because it's that thing, that people. There's this parasocial element to watching movies like this. Like, let me go hang out with my friends. Let me go to this familiar setting with these familiar people. House boys. Yeah, let me go hang with the Delta House boys for a couple hours.
The biggest difference between because I was talking about college days and all the fun shit we did. A couple differences. One, I was in a frat. 2, none of my friends were in any kind of danger of failing out of school. And 3, we never got caught.
There you go. We had
kicked out of a bar once though.
We had awesome parties. And we'd have some fun, but we also had a light, an unspoken past from campus safety, because no one ever died at my parties. Everyone got home safe. You never had any issues. You never heard about anyone getting in trouble, getting taken advantage of, getting too drunk, getting sick, having to go to the hospital or anything like that. So they're like, no.
Now, before we switch gears, I want to ask you one last question about Animal House. Mm-hmm. Have you ever watched the show Futurama?
Yeah, a little bit.
Have you seen the parody episode of Robot?
I haven't.
Instead of Delta House, the Robot House.
No, I haven't.
So Bender, they land on this planet. Bender joins a robot frat, and it's basically Animal House as an episode. Nice. But the dean's like, Robot House every channel break or commercial break. It's great. We should watch it soon.
That sounds like fun. I'm down. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure you do press the like button. We have fewer impressions than we have people watching. We always like to get that number up. Greg Kirby, thank you for the super chat. Name some middle school movies other than Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Billy Madison. This is my school movie month. Middle school movies. That's very specific.
Well, technically, well, they have to be in school, right? Not Home Alone 3. I mean, Home Alone 3 shows a middle school, if you want to count it.
There you go.
Well, no, that's not during the break. They actually, in Home Alone 3, Scarlett Johansson and the other, there's 3 kids in that movie. Scarlett Johansson's the sister. So her and the other brother are in school, and it shows it's like technically they're in middle school. So if you need a silly technicality like that, the Goonies would be in middle school, but they're not in school in the movie. What's a Saturday?
I'm trying to think of other, where they're like 13-ish. The idea is
Karate Kid counts, but they're high school.
There's 13 going on 30, but most of the movie is adults. And let's see.
Any of them. They're middle school age kids, and that's they're better. It is better than the movies you named. Well, even though I like Billy Madison quite a bit.
Yeah, it definitely works. And
Stand By Me, excellent choice.
Sandlot's a good one.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie in general.
Definitely. That's a number one pick for me for that.
Harry Potter. Technically, isn't Harry Potter series? That's isn't Hogwarts for middle school of schools.
Someone said Schoolhouse Rock, but was School of Rock? Was that high school already?
They were middle school.
I think that was middle school too.
They might have been like earlier than middle school.
I know they weren't elementary school. I don't think.
There's no way those kids were like. I thought they were like 10.
Were they supposed to be that young? I thought it was like
Ned Schneebly. That was a good movie.
Let's see. School.
Mighty Ducks, Bad News Bears.
Mighty Ducks is a good one.
Max Keeble.
I thought they were supposed to be high school Mighty Ducks, though.
In the first one, I don't think so.
Maybe not. Maybe Charlie's supposed to be like 13 or something like that.
Elementary school, it says it right there.
Private elementary school. School of Rock's elementary school. Yep. But there you go. Scary stories to tell in the dark. There you go. Middle school isn't 10. What? Yeah. There you go.
Big Fat Liar. I saw that movie in theaters. I don't know why. It was Amanda Bynes and Frankie Muniz.
Yeah, I saw that one at some point. Yeah, they were about.
Make Paul Giamatti blue.
Isn't Spy Kids around that age too? Or they're like supposed to be 13-ish or something like that?
Yeah, Agent Cody Banks.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's some other ones.
God, I've never seen that movie, but I never thought I'd actually say like, "Hey, Agent Cody Banks."
Mind the Disney Channel for your answers. That's where you'll get a bunch of them. But the chat's definitely hooking you up as well. So there's that also.
I'll tell you what.
And I lost the ability to highlight it, but I will still read our super chat from Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty 1, which reads $2 for Jeff of World Class Bullshitters for following me on Twitter. Yeah, go Jeff.
Mega Jetty 1, thank you very much for always being here for us. We appreciate you, man.
So let's see if anyone subscribed to Shit Pancakes since I posted the link. Finding this out. Let's see. Nope, not yet. And guys, he's not monetized yet, so there's no ads. That's the advantage. But yeah, She Pancake the Cat has his own channel, so y'all should subscribe.
Now, if you were to ask about high school music or high school movies, Greg Kirby, God, we go for hours.
That one, there's a lot.
Back to the Future is a high school movie, technically. Detroit Rock City, Grease, Mean Girls. Hey, Klaus Stork's here.
Grease. 10 Things I Hate About You. Freaking love that movie. Klaus Stork, let's see. Even though it takes place over summer break, wouldn't Parent Trap they were about. Yeah. I think they're supposed to be like 11 or 12 or something, right? Yeah, because she says something about it. She's about to enter her crazy teenage years, and she doesn't have a mother. And whatnot.
Oh, Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, her teenage years were crazy, as well as her lots of other years. Anyone know what she's up to these days? She just live in rehab or something?
I mean, we probably live in the same city as her, so
probably. Klaus Stork, thank you so much for the super sticker. It's Black Cat. Meow. I guess it's officially Halloween season. It's Pancake. Thank you, Klaus Stork, and also excellent thumbnail. The Red Ranger's the best ranger.
Klaus Stork joins me every morning in Good Morning Pop Culture. I think he was the first person there.
Nice. Good shit. Good.
Makes me want to like get everything together and bring it back for just a short period of time, just for those OG fans.
Just for the right. Just
get the working and lurking mugs out there.
Papa, can I have a lurking and lurking mug?
No, but you get a lurking and lurking bowl. How's that, your pancake?
Oh, hooray! Lurking and lurking. I don't work and lurk. I just lurk and lurk. That's me. That'll be one of the few overt call outs to any of our channels. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing is we're happy to talk about Pancake and promote Pancake, but Pancake wants to build his channel on his own merit and not get handouts because he wants
to make it under your own steam.
Gotta make it on my own. So he also we're keeping it. We're just keeping it as a separate endeavor, keeping our names kind of off the we're kind of just using it, totally separate endeavor. We're not using Pancake to bolster ourselves in any way. It's just a fun, separate side project that's totally unrelated to our channels or anything Fandom Menace related. So it's kind of a fun, exciting endeavor. So
no, Duran, no. I've told her not to.
Jordan D'Ambrini, thank you for the super chat. Woke culture is an evil term conjured up by the devil himself to trample amongst the race of good men and women. My God, when will it end? Yeah, Jordan, you are very right on that. It is.
No, let's answer this question. When do you think it'll end?
When will it end? That's a good question. It's a good question.
My guess is that woke culture movies will end. COVID will cause it to happen quicker because we had Cameron Pasha on talking about people in Hollywood, how they want the wokeness to die out so they go back to making money. And then I think if you're going to be you have to take more calculated risks depending on safety and people going out to see your thing and consume your product. I don't think you have as much latitude to fuck around anymore. So I think you'll go back to traditional shit.
I do think that is. I do think that there'll be a greater burden on the film industry to make profitable films following COVID. So I do think that is going to be. I think that's going to be the case. But that said, I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because you're going to get certain. One of the concerns I would have with that is like, what if studios are like, fuck this wokeness, we got to make a movie that bucks the woke trends and this and that so that it does well, etc. They go out, they make this decent movie, whatever. It doesn't make money because it's people still aren't going to the theaters. It's still, people aren't trusting that and whatnot. And that's the reason it doesn't make money. But there's some whole big social media backlash with the woke people losing their minds and whatnot. And so they conflate the information and think that, slow returns in the post-COVID era, or just things like there's going to be a studio adjustment period to understanding what a good profit margin is now, because that may change given all these things. So what if seeing people, coming out and being like, oh no, fuck this, it's not woke enough. And then seeing the lack of returns accidentally conflates this idea that making your movie not pandering to the wokeness is somehow going to make it less profitable. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if you follow my thought.
I followed it.
We do face a danger in COVID doing the opposite by accident because people are dumb.
People are dumb. Hopefully, when it gets to the big budget stuff, like mega blockbusters, I think we'll have so few of those over the next couple of years. Like, if things are already in the production pipeline, that's one story. But we don't have another Avengers down the line. What is the new Justice League movie? It's the Snyder Cut, which is 4 1-hour specials on TV. I think when you try to take that universal appeal approach, I think they'll be more cautious of it. And I think eventually we'll get to a point where like people like Alex Kurtzman and these people that make shit entertainment too do get pushed aside. It's funny how the poster child for bad movies is Michael Bay. And yes, he's bad, but there are people that make worse shit that you just don't know their name, but they keep getting jobs because they're not as prolific. They're not prolific, but not as in the forefront of it. Yeah. But I think there are more harmful people to movies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's fair. I also think, I do think one of the things you're going to see is like a lot of, first of all, the wokeness in Hollywood is definitely also influenced by the current, social political climate. I do think, whether you like it or not, if the election goes blue, you'll see it calm down. If it goes red, you'll see it ramp up, because the reality is that, and you saw this with the whole like sudden appearance and then equally sudden denouement of this alt-right movement during the 2016 election cycle, right? You have this group of people that have, been labeled the alt-right and whatnot, coming together, saying certain things, having certain rhetoric, gathering a lot of power because of 8 years of Obama and how that changed the social landscape, in whatever ways, and how it emboldened certain types of people to act one way and whatnot, and other types of people to be afraid of that direction that it was going. You create a situation where you're lending more credence to your fear mongering, if that makes sense, where you can point to something concrete, go, see, this is what Obama's doing to ruin American values, or whatever it is you're saying, right? And you have a 2-term administration's worth of evidence to draw from, to cherry pick whatever suits your narrative. And so you get people mobilized and energized going, yeah, we gotta, vote red. We gotta go red to preserve this, because otherwise all this is gonna get terrible. So whereas certain voices that maybe vocally espouse theories or ideas or concepts that are not as palatable to the larger conservative movement, those voices are being embraced because they're hitting on something really specific that's energizing them, right? So Trump did win, he was elected, etc. Now what you're seeing is that having happened over the past 4 years on the left, where most people in the Democratic Party, you never saw any of this uber progressivism and wokeness actually take a serious foothold in the Democratic Party, in the actual platforms. Go to the convention, see what their platform is. You listen to any of that, and the uber progressiveness and the uber political correctness had not come into the mainstream in that way. But you get Trump, right? And now all of a sudden these crazy nutzos, identity politics and racism is everywhere and it's evil and it's this and that, have a lot, again, they have a breadth of evidence now to cherry pick from, to say, look at this time that Trump said this racist thing or did that racist thing or this thing. Clearly he's, emboldening racists everywhere, and we must fight the racists, and they're everywhere. And if the president's saying it, then everyone's racist and everyone who follows him is racist, and it's a war and we must fight them.
The reason I disagree about your stance of it'll calm down if it goes blue in the election is because Ghostbusters 2016 was an Obama movie, and that is the poster child for the fucking extent that they'll take this shit. So that movie can be created in that period of the blue controlled government. Anything can happen, no matter what side of the political spectrum. It's got to be a purely financial desperation move, because you can virtue signal all you want, but the world's broken right now, and when you're in the business of making movies, you got to do something that's going to make you money. So
yeah. But the thing is, then in regards to that movie, you also have to have the coronavirus pressure, the need to make movies and whatnot. So I think the socio-political climate on the left will calm down if the election goes blue, and as a result, I think you'll see studios. The thing is, Ghostbusters 2016, you're also talking about the beginning of this, of the get woke, go broke era, before the going broke part was the understood result. It was the experiment, and let's pander to this messaging, and does that, how does that whatever. And the whole thing was, in the movie itself, though, I mean, like the concept behind gender swapping a classic film is woke in and of itself. The movie itself, I didn't think was like riddled with wokeness every step of the way. It was just not a good movie. And it was not a good premise to operate off of. The idea of gender swapping or anything swapping. The idea of remaking a classic film is already lazy enough to begin with. The idea of rebranding it and packaging it as if you're doing something so great and wonderful because you fucking changed the identity of the main characters is even more bullshit.
Well, I think you talked about the social political climate. Like, that was there in the media. Like, all this stuff that we go on about now about being, you're racist if you don't like this, or you're sexist if you don't like this. Like, that was all there then. That's nothing new. I think it's just, you're going to have like, listen, money is the great motivating factor. It's going to take something bigger than, they're going to have to just be like, why do we listen to these people? It's like if you go out every day and you listen to the dude on the corner instead of your audience, dude on the corner is not your audience. They're just listening to not their audience, and they have to wake up.
That's fair, but I think the point is, though, what I'm trying to make with the, when you look at the, the election and the way it's going to end up and whatnot, is and it's like it's also what's happened to the two political parties is very different on one side versus the other. Because you know, I mean, well, first of all, Trump is the most powerful person in their party. And he's made it very, very clear that it's my way or the highway. So Republicans have all either had to choose, you know, go independent, resign, retire, or fall in line. You know, there hasn't been as much of an opportunity for disunity. Whereas on the Democratic side, the people saying fall in line or fuck you are not the ones, you know, with the power, with the control. It's a lot of these junior Congress people and whatnot saying that. So they are able to throw their weight around without, but they don't have the same amount of weight, so they can't shut down dissent in the party. They're just, all they do is create more of it and make more noise. And what you've seen is that gathers momentum and that gathers support, you know, it becoming a bigger and bigger part of the Democratic Party. But if you have, okay, the Democrats are in power, the Democrats are passing the policies that everyone wants to see and whatnot, you know, now the people screaming about wokeness and screaming about all of these injustices and whatnot, you know, the regular rational people go, oh, this isn't a problem anymore. Why are you still screaming about it? And start to realize how insane that sounds, how insane those things are. That's the idea, you know, whereas if you have another 4 years of the person they're convinced is the devil, then they're more and more likely to buy into the polarizing ideals of like, no, fuck these guys, they're the enemy, we have to fight against them tooth and nail, and if you don't believe this, you are them and you are the devil. I think that's what gives, honestly, and that's why I'm concerned about this ever going away, you know, in our lifetimes, because this vilification of anyone who believes differently from you gives people within a group so much power to bully other members of their group into falling in line. And that's, you know, it's these are problems. That's why I'm speaking about. I don't talk politics in the channel in the sense I don't take sides or discuss political discourse. This to me isn't politics. This is just universal human nature and things you can observe, you know, in the political theater. It has nothing to do with right versus left, and each party and each you know, faction of people is equally culpable. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't think we missed any super chats, but yeah, I wanted to make sure we gave that answer. It's fair shake. Again, if you are just watching, make sure you do press the like button. Let's get those impressions up. And yeah, so those are my feelings on that. Any more you wanted to say on the topic?
I just don't think. I think we've, like I said, Climate was already dog shit back then, bad movies, and that movie flopped back then, and they continue to flop now. They'll learn the hard way. I mean, what's Hollywood's last great success financially? Joker.
Yeah, I mean, well, Bryce Skywalker made over $1 billion, Jeff.
Grossed that much money. Profit margin was nowhere near that.
No. Yeah. So, Daisy Ridley sucks. This is what you guys are on the High Council a little bit.
Yeah, they were talking about. She's complaining that she can't find work post Star Wars. Star Wars came out in December. COVID happened right afterwards. What work are you looking for? Well, I mean, lady?
You know, she's probably been wrap shooting on it for a while, so she's probably had.
Well, those reshoots that had to go back for like.
Yeah, but that wasn't going to stop her from looking for another job during that time. You know, I'm sure she was. Going out on auditions and.
Well, maybe. Well, you said maybe stop her from looking. Maybe she didn't look. So it's her own fault that she doesn't have work. Like she just like maybe she's like I'm on Star Wars and she bought into her own hype. Like I'm the lead of the biggest movie ever, and so she expected the offers to roll in. When historically Star Wars is not a star-making role, but for one guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she did it. I'm not gonna criticize her for, you know, something I don't know if she did or didn't do. My guess would be that she, like any other actor, you know, once that job was done, was possibly even while it was shooting, was still, you know, she has an agent. It's not like she submits herself. It's not like she submits herself for work or not. She has an agent, you know, so the agent's not sitting around while she's shooting Star Wars, resting on her laurels, going, "Oh, I got this star in my pocket." They know how the industry works. You know, she has an agent hustling for her, getting her auditions, getting her opportunities, getting in front of people, and she probably is a very, very good agent. You know, I'm sure. You know, the star of Star Wars, she probably whatever she had, whoever she was signed to, whoever she was represented by before that, I'm sure she has much better representation now since doing Star Wars. And to me, it's like if you're, I actually wonder, you can probably look it up. Let's see. Let's see if you can find out really quickly who is Daisy.
That's usually pretty. Yeah, she's signed to UTA. She switched from original talent agency, Jonathan Uren, some probably boutique agency, to the United Talent Agency in 2014. So she's been with UTA since 2014, right? UTA is one of the big three, honestly one of the top two, the UTA, CAA, and then you could make an argument for the next biggest one is, but without a doubt, CAA and UTA are the two number one talent agencies in Los Angeles, right? So she's been rep by them since 2014, and if her agents haven't found her, so when she says she's having trouble finding work, right? She's not going online submitting for auditions. She's not calling up casting directors, hoping for interviews, seeing if she's right for parts. Her agents are doing all of that. Right. If she's having trouble finding work, it means that she's going into the audition rooms and getting turned down, or her agents are making calls to try to get some direct casting parts, and they're not able to do it.
Because they're not doing a great job. Because post Star Wars, so episode 7 in 2015, excuse me, she has been in 1, 2, 3, 4 things where she's not Rey, and then she's done some voice work as Rey, and then she's in something in 2021 called Chaos Walking. She's a voice here, she's a voice there, she's in a video game thing. I'm just saying, like, for her agent being whatever agency she's with, she's not really getting all this amazing stuff.
But that's my point. My point is that everyone knows who she is. Everyone in the industry knows who she is. And she has top-notch representation. So if she's not getting work, that means there is no market for her. For whatever reason that is, whether it's just that the market has enough, pretty brunettes, and she's just not up to snuff. They'd rather go with one. That's part of it. Part of it too, honestly, is you do have that as an issue, right? Right now, it is not, if you want to be an actor, it is not a great time to be a white chick. Especially like your regular sort of girl next door looking white chick. Why? Simply because there's just the market is saturated.
And even in Star Wars itself, Rey, Jyn Erso, and what's her face, Emilia Clarke's character, all kind of look similar anyway. They're all short, thin, brunette with British accents. Yeah. They're all the same exact type. So clearly, Kathleen Kennedy and crew want that type for Star Wars. But like you said, it's not the best time to be those people.
No, because as you named, you just listed 3 people recently who've played, who are already in Star Wars, and arguably, I mean, Emilia Clarke, I think her stock is a little higher than Daisy Ridley's.
A lot.
But I mean, relative to someone like I'm just playing Jyn Erso, Felicity
Shagwell, no Jones.
No, yeah, Felicity Jones.
Sorry, Felicity Shagwell's from Austin Powers.
Felicity Jones, I think is a better actor than Daisy Ridley. And I think her stock is higher than both Emilia Clarke or Daisy Ridley's in terms of, I think she has a bigger range,
range. When you're saying stock,
when I say stock, I mean their marketability. Their marketability.
I would still say you're going to take Emilia Clarke over, because yes, people shit on Game of Thrones season 8, but she had Game of Thrones. She was very visible in that. She's done Star Wars. She's done Terminator. She's done a bunch of those.
I think
shitty
so,
rom-coms.
because Felicity Jones played. She was she's in a bunch of rom-coms. Emilia Clarke.
She's in something called You Before Me and something else. I mean, she's not just in the genre stuff.
Yeah, but that's what she's the most known for, obviously. Let's take a quick look. Felicity Jones, she's really, she did, she was Theory of Everything. She was On the Basis of Sex. My point is I think her range, she's more of a range. And that's, you can just see even in the roles that she's played.
I'll agree with that, but you said stock. Usually stock denotes value. I would say
your stock as an actor is highly based on your range.
Yeah, so is marquee value too.
Yeah.
I love The Rock, but The Rock has no range. The Rock is The Rock, and he's got the biggest marquee value. I think Felicity Jones has less marquee value because she doesn't have Game of Thrones underneath her belt for all those years. People, even if you just see her face as, it's the Game of Thrones lady, you at least know. Felicity Jones and Daisy Ridley are just kind of generic-looking women that they haven't had a consistent thing like Khaleesi or whatever. I don't even watch the fucking show. I know that's her character.
Yeah, I think, but the thing is, Felicity Jones also has been around longer. Theory of Everything was a huge film. People were really done. I think she became definitely a more known name from that movie alone. Her name's definitely been kicking around since then. Obviously, on the basis of success
though.
But I think that it's been. I think Felicity Jones, in the sense, I do think she's going to edge out Emilia Clarke. I think you're right. I think Emilia Clarke's name, if you're just putting name to name, I think Emilia Clarke brings in more tickets off the Game of Thrones hype and whatnot. But I think that I think Felicity Jones is going to have more opportunities in Hollywood because she has a bigger range. I don't think that you ever would have considered Emilia Clarke to play Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I would definitely agree with
I don't think. I would say if you were making her, I don't think you'd ever look at her and think that she has the chops to do that. I think Felicity Jones has her chops are just like her talent is way above either of those two. Emilia Clarke, I like her. I don't think she's bad in the role she's done, but I do think she's very one note. I think that showed a lot in Solo, because it really wasn't the note that she plays really wasn't quite right for that role even. And that was one of the many reasons that movie suffered. But anyway, Rosetta, I'll read your super. I know since I know you have to get going. She wanted me to. She said, "See her grumbling that I haven't read it yet." On my way back to bed, just wanted you to know I love you, girlie. I miss you guys. Be well, and remember, you're an amazing person. Never change. Thank you, Rosetta. You as well. You're wonderful. Thank you for the super chat. Get some good sleep. Thanks for staying up a little to catch the beginning of the show. We really do appreciate it. We appreciate you. We appreciate all you guys listening to us.
I can't believe we've already been streaming for an hour almost.
I can't believe it either. It feels like we're still at the beginning.
So we said The Rock is the greatest actor ever. The Rock is my hero. I love him to death. He is not the greatest actor ever.
And guys, if you're joining us, make sure you do press the like button. We are still 30 likes away from 100. I know we can hit it. But either way, so then right there, then just take Kerry Russell, who was in Rise of Skywalker. She's another one right in that same type. She's got a few more years under her belt, but she's pretty much but she still plays very young. She's still, I think she is in contention. I think she is in contention for the upper age of roles that a Daisy Ridley or Felicity Jones can play. I think she can still play those. I think the youngest she can play is about the oldest they can play. So I think there still is a certain amount of overlap in there.
I just think, no complaint there. I think though she's in a weird place too, where to a certain demographic, she kind of disappeared after Felicity in the 90s. Kerry Russell.
Yeah.
So it was like she was known as that girl for a lot of years. And unlike somebody like a Jennifer Aniston who went on to be like, she was in shit before Friends, but Friends was her big thing, and then she was in consistently big films for years, decades, honestly. Sure. I don't like her, but she's still a huge actor.
Let's say Kerry Russell and Daisy Ridley are in contention for a role. I think it's going to Kerry Russell. And I can't think of a role, unless, again, it was the age thing. She was just a little too old. I can't think of any other role where it would be like, we'd rather have Daisy Ridley over Kerry Russell.
I don't even know. I can't think of, off the top of my head, obviously there's going to be characters you could write for anybody.
Yeah.
But, it's weird to think of those two going for the same role. Because
I don't know, is it weird to think of me and Lori Petty going for the same role?
Honestly, no. Because you are of that type.
And you know what the role was.
You've never seen, you told me.
To be the voice of Taylor Swift's Cats. And neither of us got it. So there you go.
Oh, I thought it was League of Their Own thing. You were supposed to play her.
No, I was going to play that. No,
when you said you and Lori Petty.
No, when literally we were in the same casting room going head to head for the same role. Day I met her.
But the point I was to make, was you were more like her than I think Daisy Ridley is like Kerry Russell.
But right now, though.
Right now, yeah. Because, you're you could play, if they made Tank Girl right now, remade it, you could play Tank Girl.
Me right now and Lori Petty right now.
Oh.
Because now Lori Petty is the one that I competed with for this role.
Well, that's a voice character. That's a little different.
I know. Well, how great would it have been if it was the two of us in the commercial? That would be incredible. Lori Petty being a lifelong friend. And anyway.
I don't think she would have liked him.
I think she would have.
I have nothing against her.
She's just super chill.
She's great in Point Break.
She showed up to that audition in a bathrobe with sunglasses, and it was amazing.
You are just like her.
We really are.
Here's the bathrobe right here.
I wear my bathrobes in public.
Jessie wore her bathrobe. I was with her the day she got that bathrobe from back in Philly. And she had that on every day in Cincinnati, every day in Michigan. Most days to this day, she wears this robe.
Don't forget every day in Philly after I got it until we left, too. Yeah, most days. Anytime I'm cold, pretty much. It is my number one jacket that I wear outside when it's chilly.
You wore that to Vegas, didn't you?
I did. I wore that to breakfast.
Oh yeah, the Ho Charger picture.
Yeah, or in the Ho Charger picture too. I was straight up did Vegas and PJs that night. That was hilarious.
That was the night we tried to party and get drunk, but we couldn't. Like we kept drinking. We
never got drunk. It was fucking. We drank so much that night too.
It was free at the hotel or the buffet.
And then ended up
getting delicious pizza.
We did having like crazy. It was a fun night, and let's stop in the candy store. I really enjoyed just like being in the candy store that night. That was a lot of fun.
Did we also pick up Rob from Midnight's Edge?
We did. We picked up Rob from Midnight's Edge earlier that night. It was a great time had by all. But yeah, back on the train of thought. I mean, you can even go like this. You could name dozens of others, like Alicia Vikander is in that age group and that look, and you're going to pick her for an action role over any. That's the thing. You have a better choice in pretty much any category. Something an action role, Alicia Vikander, you're going to go with her. You've seen her do it. She was the last Tomb Raider and whatnot. And I didn't see the film or whatnot, but from what I understand, it was a much Ex Machina, another movie that I still need to see. But she's played a lot of very physical roles. Something physical you're going to take, especially after going and hearing things, learning things. Like one of the reasons that the fights were so simplified in a lot of Star Wars was because Daisy Ridley could not pick up the choreography.
Well, one thing too about Star Wars compared to other properties, other properties make their actors work.
Yeah,
all the Marvel dudes and chicks. They all work at the gym. They have real bodies. Those aren't fake muscles that Thor has.
Yep.
Same with Scarlett Johansson. You watch her actually progressively get thinner. I don't think she looks better, but anyway, everybody in those movies and actually they're busting their ass. Like even a testament to Chadwick Boseman. Dude had cancer 2016, right? When he was diagnosed. Black Panther wasn't even out for 2 more years, so he was playing the Black Panther in Civil War and acting, getting in shape for the role, sick. But still did the shit.
Yeah.
Only with the new Star Wars movies have they lowered the bar to where,
you look right for the part. Therefore, we don't actually care if you can do it.
Yeah. Look at all the shit the actors went through back in the day. Mark Hamill burst a blood vessel in his eye in the Dianoga scene because he's holding his breath underwater. I mean, like,
exactly.
You don't need to suffer for your art.
The stupid thing is from what I know of Daisy Ridley, I don't even think she would have been unwilling to go that extra mile. It just wasn't asked of them. That's when you go back and into it. They specifically asked more of Adam Driver because he had more of a background and that kind of stuff and whatnot. They just,
veteran and all.
But you saw a lot of during like Daisy Ridley did a lot of posts and stuff during the process of how proud she was of her workouts and training and this stuff and all that. So clearly it was something that she was interested in, and it was just not something that was asked of her. So it's not even necessarily her fault that's the way it is, but it's the way it is. Even like, so then if you want someone cute and mousy, Elizabeth Olsen, I think, has more chops than Daisy Ridley. She certainly has. She's more chops as an actor. I think she has more draw on a marquee. Yep. I think she's another one, right? In that she's the fairly petite, skinny little brunette. I don't know what her natural hair color actually even is, but
reddish brown.
Is that her natural one?
I've only seen her in a handful of things, but you're right though.
She's another one. She fits that type, and she's a lot. So the whole point is that Daisy Ridley is entering a saturated market that she adds nothing to. And unfortunately for her, what she was given to do as Rey did not showcase any of what ability may or may not be there. Whether that's a fault of her being, just not up to the challenge of this level of movie this early in her career, whether she truly just doesn't have the acting ability or whether it just was never asked of her. The result is what we see on screen is very underwhelming. I personally thought she was really, really good in the Murder in the Orient Express remake, but seen it. Again, but it was a very milquetoast character. Again, there wasn't a whole lot for her to do. So another place where she's not doing anything very physical. She's not doing anything very active. She's not the main character. She doesn't have some romance to play out or some really like deep stuff that she can. I mean, realistically, her highlight reel is not as strong as her resume. Her resume is Star Wars, cool, great resume. And, this movie with Kenneth Branagh, great resume. But her highlight reel is boring scene number 1, boring scene number 2, boring scene number 3.
The joke was, here's her range.
Exactly. And the part of it is like, whether or not that's her whether or not that's her actual range. It was all that was asked of her in the damn film. And she just, and I do think there's something to be tested. And again, that's what I like to say she just can't do it. And like, there's something to be said about you're on this magnitude of a project as an actor who really did nothing before that. Maybe she just wasn't able to rise to that occasion, but she does have it in her. It didn't do her any favors, you know?
No, thank you. That's the point I was going to make. It doesn't do her any favors because it puts her, she's hurting now from it.
Yeah.
Because she's only asked for so much, therefore we only think she can do so much because we all assume, and people that would cast the movie go, oh, of course it's going to be rigorous. This is Star Wars. This is the premier franchise. Yeah. It just goes to show you how piss poor they've handled the series. They don't care.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, almost, you know, to write her out of any love line was almost another disservice to her as well. If you had fostered a relationship with Finn, like you really should have, based on where the first movie was going. Now you would have definitely had. I mean, that's great. Now as an actor, you have a kissing scene. You can show, look at my chemistry, look at my romance. People respond to that, you know. And then you have, because the whole thing is like the biggest, you know, the biggest anything about Rey in the fans and the following for the movie is fucking Reylo. It's just shipping a relationship that doesn't exist, that never existed, that's made up, you know, in people's minds, and has nothing to do with Daisy Ridley or anything she brings to the character. I mean, you think about Luke Skywalker, and it's like one of the first things, you know, his introduction. Well, I was going to go to Taji Station to pick up some power converters.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done.
And people quote that line all the time because it's such an indicative line of this is who Luke is when we first meet him. That's like such a great moment that just tells you who Luke is. You know, I'm going to be a Jedi, like my, you know, stuff like that. Like his, you know, I am a Jedi. Any of those little moments, you can just hear his voice in it. What does Daisy really say or do that's in any way remarkable that sticks out to you at all? I'm trying to think of a single line.
Rey Skywalker.
Oh, the very fucking end. Yeah, right. Exactly.
That is the greatest. Have you seen all the memes? Yes. My name's Rey. Radio Gaga. That's why she's got the one mustache. Freddie Mercury. Oh, I fucking love it.
God, lovely. But yeah, so I'm not surprised that she has failed to find work. She's every opportunity. Again, she's with one of the best talent agencies, arguably the best ever since CAA's comedy department largely defected and moved over to UTA. Stuff that you know about when you care about what's happening in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's it just sucks to be her, but she's gonna have to. I mean, look, one of the worst things for actors, honestly, is to be in a really big, high-profile role that does not showcase your abilities as an actor, or worse, you know, specifically makes people think you're more limited than you are. I mean, just look at Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. They felt like they're the exact same thing. Clearly, they have both demonstrated, you know, in the many years since then that they can do a lot more than that. But look how long it's taken. I mean, it's just now that they're both kind of trying to break back into to Hollywood. You know,
question: how aware of Kristen Stewart would you be outside of the influence we're talking? I don't want to say anything publicly, but you know,
outside of our friend who's very dedicated. Very dedicated. Oh God, I probably wouldn't. I would have been aware that she was trying to break back in because of Charlie's Angels, and that's really it. You know,
I might have seen the American Ultra trailer.
I might have seen the Underwater trailer. You know, and it's been like, oh shit, I guess you know she's she's becoming a thing again. Other than that, you know, I would have been aware of that. I've been aware. Things like, I wouldn't have been as aware of what she's been doing in the meantime. Just like, you know, if Robert Pattinson wasn't cast as Batman, I would not been nearly as aware of what he's done as well. Though I think he's had an easier time than Kristen Stewart has staying liked. And I think he's also, I mean, possibly, I haven't seen a lot of this, so I don't want to speak to it, but maybe just is just a more talented actor. Because right away, you know, not right away, but he was able to sort of Water for Elephants was not that long after Twilight. And that was like one of his big, like, this is what I did since Twilight kind of movies. So
he just was never going to appeal to me even outside of Twilight. Like, it's just, he's not my type of actor.
I just hate his face.
I don't even mind his face. It's just, usually the actors I gravitate towards have some kind of charisma. He is just a weird, pale, blank slate who doesn't emote anything outside of, like, maybe smoldering intensity and other shit. But, like, all my favorite actors, have some kind of comedic range. They have some sort of, action. Like, you can be serious when they need to be like, look at Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
You can be serious in an Oscar-worthy performance in Witness. He can also be
sure.
funny as shit. He can also play serious.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Pattinson's always just kind of been like, he plays Twilight or he does real serious artsy films, and it's the same type of movie each time.
I'm with you, definitely. Nothing he's been in has super appealed to me. I'm curious. I've heard good things about Water for Elephants. I'm curious about The Lighthouse.
I am so fucking tired of hearing about The Lighthouse. Like, I actually stopped listening to a podcast and unsubscribed because they wouldn't stop talking about it after the episode. They're like, it's so great. Like, each week, they would, like, maybe like if we still went on about Captain Marvel being the worst movie every episode. And only talk about her when she comes up in the news.
Sure.
And have you noticed, nobody cares about Brie Larson's YouTube channel anymore?
Nope. Including the people who used to watch Brie Larson's YouTube channel. Jeffrey Turner, aka Megadeth Jetty One, says Mark Hamill almost died in the back to tank making Empire. People actually working for their art. Nowadays, you can't even convince Robert Pattinson to wear his costume. Andrew Clark says, please get rags for Thirsty Thursday. Things Drunk Rag has said. Speaking of the Snyder Cut, I wish I wasn't circumcised. Che, you're my spirit animal. That sounds dangerous. Sounds like a dangerous Thirsty Thursday guest. I mean, I don't know him personally. Mahler's been on here. I think actually Rags was on here with Mahler one other time. So we have spoken before. I know we've spoken back and forth, but I don't have a personal line to him. So if you're catching him on EFAP and stuff like that. So what I always say, if you guys want to see certain guests and stuff like that, nothing against the guy, I think he's perfectly cool. I think he's perfectly awesome. I just have no direct line to him. So if you're watching EFAP and whatnot, jump in the chat, let him know, hey, Jesse's got this drinking stream, Rags, we think you'd be perfect. You're funny, drunk, whatever you want to say, however you want to convince him that he should reach out, and we should do this, then yeah. And I'm always open to having new guests and people you want to see, of course. So definitely happy to have him.
I want to see you get.
The other thing to keep in mind is, of course, we're working on a time very, very well. He is not. Mahler's in the UK,
Rags
but
is
Rags is US. So
Actually, it's Steve Martin.
that's be fine. But yeah, so no, definitely. If you get his attention, if you bring a Thirsty Thursday to his attention, and he's interested, I'm 100% on board. Always love getting new people on. Yeah. What were you saying?
Should get Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, that would be fun. Albatross Flight says she's got a cool accent. She can narrate nature documentaries. Daisy Ridley, I think it'd be a great spot for her. I think she does have a very pleasant voice.
She's been narrating.
There you go.
That's what some of the shit. Most of her work outside of Star Wars Episode 7. Look at it goes. Rey on Episode 7, the voice of Rey. Then 2 years later, she does Murder on the Orient Express. Then she voices Rey. Then she plays her in The Force or The Last Jedi. Then she's in Ophelia. Then she's the voice of Peter Cottontail or Peter Rabbit and Flopsy Turvy. So 2 Rabbit movies. Then she's the voice of Rey. The voice of Rey plays Rey. 12 minutes, some video game thing. Dawn of Art, video game narrator. Voice in The Inventor.
She's not the voice of Peter Cottontail. She's just the voice of a rabbit named Cottontail. So.
And then, narrator for this, Asteroid Hunter. Rey voice. And then Chaos Walk, which she looks really ridiculous.
Who was the chick in those, in the Peter Rabbit movies again? What's her face?
I'll look it up for you real quick. Click right here. Peter Rabbit starred. Was it? Sia?
No, it wasn't the main chick.
Oh, Margot Robbie? No.
No, Margot Robbie was the voice. I didn't know that.
Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne. There's another one though. That's another.
She's very generic.
Another generic brunette person who I think whose stock is worth more than Daisy Ridley.
Oh God, Rose Byrne's also more of a proven commodity with. Well, hold on. Let's see what she's been. She's been in a ton of shit.
She's been in tons of things.
And she did Star Wars too. She did it first.
Oh, that's
She's
true.
one of Padme's handmaids.
That is true.
She was in Spy. She was in Insidious, Bridesmaids, Neighbors, Irresistible, Miss America, Like a Boss, Jexy, Martha the Monster. I mean, this is just every year she's got something big coming out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you want to go for the charming, slightly comedic, family friendly gal, you're gonna take Rose Byrne over Daisy Ridley.
And you don't even have to worry about the family friendly approach because she does hard R comedies like Neighbors.
That's true too.
So I'm just saying, like
that one was funny actually.
Yeah, it was funny. Did you ever see the second one?
I did not.
Did
I actually kind of want to, yeah.
Okay, let's watch it.
Because doesn't Zac Efron come back to help them?
Yeah,
With the sorority sisters.
That was my favorite part of the movie. Was he was a fuck up and he failed at the end. It wasn't like in Animal House where they all were off into the happy sunset because that wasn't the message of the movie.
Yeah.
He was a dick. He got his comeuppance, and I liked it.
I did enjoy that. It was a lot of fun. So there, we have a future for Daisy Ridley. She can do nature documentaries. She can do. Oh, she should start doing those like. She should just like narrate things that help you fall asleep. I fall asleep to her.
Oh, I'd fall asleep to her. I mean, I've fallen asleep to The Last Jedi every time.
There you go. Greg Kirby, thank you for the super chat. Mando season 2 is filming an advertising scene where Ahsoka fights 2 people in a cantina. But I want this scene in an episode. Oh, so they're just filming they're just shooting it as a teaser kind of thing, maybe.
You're showing off ultimate shoulder there, man.
I
that kind of show.
Personally don't want Ahsoka in Mando season 2, period.
Nor do I. What good does she do?
I don't have a personal connection to her as a character because I haven't watched the Clone Wars. I'm down for her as this whatever character that she is, but I'm just concerned that all of these additional, canon characters making their appearances in Mando season 2 is just going to muddy the waters and make it this jumbled collection of, 50% member marries 50%. Ooh, look at this character. I wonder what we're basically just dropping them in here to tease their show. And I'm actually really, I think Mando season 2 is going to kind of suck.
I'm worried about that too. And Mandalorian might suffer the same fate as the Amazing Spider-Man series. And you're like, what does this have to do with anything? The Amazing Spider-Man 2 existed only to set up the Sinister Six and Oscorp as this big thing. And the whole movie is basically, hey, watch this scene, but get ready for the next one. And then watch this scene and get ready for the next one. And the next one never came, so you watched a bunch of scenes, and they fucking sucked. So with The Mandalorian Season 2, and one thing too, what's the show called?
The Mandalorian.
I don't care about Baby Yoda. I don't care about Ahsoka Tano. I don't care about anybody outside of The Mandalorian and Michael Bihn's character, because Terminator's awesome. Other than that, you're going to muddy it up, because you're taking something that's very good and simple, and the more complex you make it, even Star Wars. The first movie had one final battle. They kept building. You reached a point with Return of the Jedi where you couldn't do more. Then you do episode 1, and you have way too many things you're jumping across. That's the analogy I always make when there's too many things. Or Batman films. Did Batman and Robin need Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and Bane?
No.
It didn't need to exist in the first place. But
that's crazy town. Crazy town. No, I'm with you 100%. I think you're absolutely right. I think all your examples, perfect illustrations of where we've gone wrong in the past, and I think that's exactly what we have in store. I just saw someone earlier saying they didn't like how Baby Yoda, the fact that Baby Yoda, once again, takes away from this idea that Jedis have to be trained. People have to be trained to use the Force. And to me, it's like, even if you want to go with, their race is just super Force sensitive, it's just another step in demystifying the Force, which I think is always a mistake. We didn't like it when George Lucas tried to do it in the prequels, and certainly don't like it now with all these efforts to, try to make it this very pedestrian, anybody can do it kind of thing. I think it takes away from what makes it special. There's a difference, and it's kind of, it's interesting because we've talked about this, the difference between equality and equity. It's come up a lot lately, actually. And I think you see that, in the treatment of the Force in Star Wars. I think you have equality in the old ones, but you have equity in these new ones, right? You have this idea that in the old ones, anyone could be a Jedi. We saw that very, very clearly in the original ones, with the fact that your most powerful Jedi Master is this tiny green munchkin, and your aspiring new Jedi is this little farm boy who didn't even know what the fuck the Force was until he met Obi-Wan. So you have this sense. So Obi-Wan's your only guy who looks like your traditional wizened old, man who's practiced this ancient mystical power. He's the only one that sort of fits that type. Your other two, Force using people, and then you also, have Leia as a Force sensitive character right in the originals as well. So we see, this spans multiple creatures, which of course are allegory for races, different genders, different ages, different backgrounds, and stuff like that. You have the Force. The Force represents a sense of equality, and that anyone could be, everyone's connected to it. Anyone could be the one who becomes a Jedi. But if you're selected, that's still, if the Force selects you, there's still an immense amount of work and training and respect and honor you need to give to this thing in order to actually take it into your life, which is a great message, because it's like, this could be anyone, but then there's, just because you have some sort of special, and I think it teaches you a better lesson too, just because you have a special ability, a magic power, it's kind of like what our superhero genres teach us too, Spider-Man's favorite catchphrase, or not really his, but the one that, is connected to Spider-Man.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Of course, is this idea that just because you have a magical power or a special gift or, access to technologies other people don't, that you still have a responsibility, and you still have hard work is a big part of that, and how you handle it is a big part of it, right? And now you fast forward, and we don't have equality, we have equity. Literally anybody could wake up one day and go, I'm the most powerful person in the universe, without working for it, without earning it, and therefore without having gained any sense of respect for the thing they're handling, which is why neither Kylo Ren nor Daisy really at any point, or Rey at any point, feel like Jedi or Sith in any sense that we're familiar with, because the core thing that makes you a Sith or a Jedi is your relationship and connection to the Force. And that relationship was so unimportant, because it's not about having a relationship with this thing. It's not about understanding it or working towards using it, or realizing that this makes me different, it makes me powerful, and therefore I need to have respect when I use it and whatnot. It's just this thing that's just handed to you. It's just given to you. There's no sense of responsibility attached to it. So I
agree.
Yeah. So Yar, The Price is Right review. Thank you for the super chat. It says, sup my fave peeps. Woo! This stream title is absolutely perfect. That's what it is. If you guys ever get hitched later, this should be your joint YouTube channel. My 2 cents. Mindless Bullshit is kind of the name we've already put on our joint endeavors. So that or World Class Entertainment, they're both pretty good.
World Class Entertainment though also sounds like I own strippers. Like, it's a stripper company. It's like, what do you do for bachelor parties? Oh, we hire World Class Entertainment.
I thought it sounded more like a generic production company or something.
It's honestly, it sounds like where you would get hookers.
Okay, I thought it.
Wait, I moved from strippers to hookers. Shit. Wait,
Jesus
other
Christ.
way. Other way, yeah.
Strippers. Okay.
That's like the ultimate party.
There you go. But thank you, Price is Right review. I guess not, because I haven't partied with hookers or blow.
I don't mess with drugs like that. Hell no.
Not for
I
us.
am not uptight about anything, but holy shit, I am not doing cocaine.
You want to snort a line next to me? You go right ahead. I will
Please
not be
don't.
joining you.
I'd like to step out of your 1980s bathroom. Could you be quiet? We're trying to do drugs here.
Just Nova says, thank you for the super chat. I think the Jedi mysticism was only established by accident because the Jedi were hunted down. Well, I don't know if I totally 100% agree, because the Jedi religion in and of itself is drawn heavily from Eastern religions, which are, have that mystic element in them as well. Plus, I think that, even in the prequels, I think he maintains a certain level of mysticism with the idea of the Force. Even with the way that Yoda will talks about it for the little younglings and stuff like that.
Well, even in episode. No, I don't think the Jedi mysticism was only established by accident, because Empire Strikes Back. That's all there. This Jedi hunted down shit. We didn't know about Order 66 and the Great Jedi Purge. In the first Star Wars movie, what's his face? Admiral Mahdi calls it an ancient religion.
Mm-hmm.
You're religion again. Your fire's gone out of the universe, Tarkin system. So I disagree with that one fully, because in the first movie, there was no Great Jedi Purge. All we knew what was going to happen is bullshit. Star Wars is lucky that every edition up until the Disney stuff had worked.
Yeah.
So that was there. Yoda and the Force that surrounds us, luminous beings are we. All that was there before they ever even figured out what the Jedi Purge was. So I disagree.
I think the scene you cite is a great testament. Is a perfect evidence. To your point as well. It's just with Admiral Mahdi and Darth Vader.
I find you like a fifth.
And just the way that everybody in that panel sort of treated him as he's on their team. They know him. They know he's this Force using guy, whatever that they know that he's trained as a Jedi and all that stuff. And they treat him like this weird other. And I think that goes back into, because the Force is this mystical thing that not everybody knows about or has access to, the way that he does. So I do think there was a level of intentionality. I think if Jeff's saying it, you really got to give some credence to what Jeff's saying, because Jeff is the first person to write off any of George Lucas's genius's accidents. So if he's actually giving George credit on this one, then credit where credit's due. Just Nova says, good point, guys. Thank you. This is why we have, I actually love when that. I love when we get to We had a good discussion. He said a super chat. We had a great discussion on it, and made some great points. Some great points were made. It all furthers discussion whether we end up agreeing or not. Yeah, the whole point is that we can all talk about it, and we were talking about this a lot. Actually, some of the big thing, and Mary made a great point about this on the matriarchy last week. That bickering has always been a core part of Star Wars fandom.
Geekery in general.
In most geekery, most nerddom, bickering, splitting hairs, did they do it best? Did the film version do it best, or the book version, or the comic version, or the this version, or the that? Exactly. Now you can't fucking do that anymore, because then someone goes, "You're gatekeeping Star Wars from me," and starts Project Stardust, so that women can have a safe space to talk about their love of Star Wars, not being challenged by people who actually know things about Star Wars.
I'll never forget the time some guy and his kid were trying to go on about how, because I didn't like episode 7, that I didn't know Star Wars, and they tried to use the quote, "Did you know that Jakku was right next to Endor?" And then they told me, they also said The Empire Strikes Back is the best 90-minute film in existence. I said, every Star Wars movie is over 2 hours, dude. Try again.
Yeah, shut up. Yeah.
This bickering is pointless.
Sweet Pea says, no fandom holds a candle to the Star Wars fandom when it comes to bickering. It's
Star
true.
Trek.
Actually, yeah, Star Trek.
Star Trek fandom. Look, I remember when, being into Star Trek, there was this stigma because, there's a reason stereotypes exist for these fandoms.
Sure.
Like the movie Fanboys, there's a reason why Seth Rogen plays that really shitty Star Trek nerd, as well as the Star Wars pimp character. There's just stereotypes that are pretty accurate. I met a lot of weird Star Trek people.
It's true.
The weird Star Wars people are not as weird as the weird Star Trek people I've met.
That's true. I also think it's. I mean, that's a very fair point. I will give it to Star Trek over Star Wars, just because there were certain things. I think the bickering in Star Wars got heightened after the prequel era, because before that, all you had were what was you could operate, and that's what a lot of this came off of. You could operate off of what you got in the movies versus what you got in the EU, and there already were certain smaller details in the EU that may contradict each other. And then there were things too where it's oh, well, nah, because I heard this interview with George Lucas where he said XYZ, which is different than whatever so and so wrote in their books, in their EU books over here. I heard George Lucas say this about where Han Solo was from, which maybe is what A.C. Crispin said in the trilogy and what have you. And
Carillion, that's all I know.
Exactly. So things like that, the Boba Fett origin that we get in there, and then in some of the EU doesn't sync up with the Boba Fett origin story that we got later after the prequels came out, and all that. So I think the prequel era really ignited more of that, because you had something, because the original trilogy and the EU didn't have as much as it did when you add all three together, because there are things about the prequels that don't line up with the originals, and then there's things about the prequels that don't line up with the EU, and things about the EU that don't line up with the prequels, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's I think it really blossoms during that era.
And do you remember too, back in the day when you would debate Star Wars, it was which was the best? All three had their merits. None of them sucked.
Sure.
When you talked about Star Wars, it's 3 movies.
That was part of
everybody had a favorite.
That was part of why it was always fun to fight about it, because at the end of the day, everyone agreed. No one was trying to say Jedi sucked or Empire sucked. You were just arguing which one you thought was the best based on the little things that stood out to you as being those things. But I think Star Trek was doomed as soon as Next Generation came out. You were never going to hear the end of which one's better, and I think Star Trek was even more doomed because from a production standpoint, Next Gen is definitely superior. And
it's too stodgy.
But the thing is that it's so different from the original. There are a lot of grounds. The thing is, I think with original series and Next Generation, they made 2 equally good shows that were very, very different. And so you were never near the end. It's kind of like original trilogy, 3 equally good movies. But the difference between Empire is my favorite, and New Hope's my favorite is a lot smaller than the difference between Next Gen's my favorite or original series is my favorite.
Well, I think too, you also had, I don't want to say a decline, but you had Star Trek movies that always weren't the greatest. They were never the biggest films of their year. They were never, Star Trek is a weird property where it's been around in some form since its inception. Be it, you had the comics, or it came back in syndication, they had toys and all that stuff. But it was never the thing after its initial run on NBC. I think it was what channel it was on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either way. But no, but people are like, well, what are you talking about? Well, had Star Trek, the motion picture, I don't know if that was the highest grossing film of 1979. I think Alien beat it very quickly. Wrath of Khan is what, 1981?
I have to check the year on
I'll look these up because I would say, like, if it's 81, Indiana Jones beats it.
Oh, for sure.
Let's see. Star Trek films. Let's see.
I mean, yeah, I don't think any. Now, one of the Abrams ones might have been the
82 was either way. You got E.T.
Yeah,
and you have other big movies.
Oh, sure.
Wrath of Khan Search for Spock is 84.
Star Trek movies weren't events the same way that Star Wars movies were.
Because there's so many of them too.
Yeah,
and you watch the cast get so old.
And then you're also operating in a sphere where you're making movies based on a TV show, which always has a very different feel to it. Even so, a TV show as big and as prolific as Star Trek, you're still making a movie based on a TV show, which doesn't have the same gravitas as you're making another movie in the series of blockbuster movies and whatnot. There
are 778 episodes of Star Trek in total.
Wow. So to the rest of that comment, Just Nova asked, would you guys have been interested in the inner space concept? I'm assuming you're referring to George Lucas's treatment of what this third trilogy would be with the Wills and the based in between space.
I read up on it.
It's the thing is, I think I would have been fine with that, actually, the more I think about it. Because honestly, every time it's come up, I'm like, that sounds dumb. I wouldn't have wanted that. But when you really think about it, it's like, did you need a new Star Wars film ever after? Honestly, I mean, I know you could have stopped at one.
My love of Star Wars would have been as deep as it is now if it was just for one movie.
So the whole thing, if you found out that George Lucas was making this wackadoodle follow-up trilogy about, the world between worlds and whatnot, what would your attitude towards that have been?
Like most people, I would have been concerned because, yes, in hindsight, people like the prequels a lot more. But if you were there, most people, as well as most pieces of entertainment, shit on the prequels. Mm-hmm. Kevin Smith was the first person in pop culture to have something out. No, take it back. Simon Pegg on the show Space. Talked about George Lucas ruined my childhood. All that shit comes from Space, that fucking Simon Pegg show. So for him to want to bitch about geek culture the way it is, motherfucker, you built it with your one damn TV show.
True.
Then you had Kevin Smith with the Clerks cartoon. They bring in George Lucas. They make fun of him. That's in the year 2000. So we're only, with the production time, we're only a few months right after episode 1. Then you get to all kinds of things. Like it just kept getting made fun of in popular culture. So if you would have told me this, I would have said no. Because even if I take my joke aside with one Star Wars movie, realistically, episode 3 was the perfect way to end the saga and just keep it going on TV and then games and shit. Because all those events felt like events. Even now, if you said, Jeff, would you like to erase it and do the George Lucas ones? No, because there's nothing. For everyone that wants to go, it's got to be better. Jar Jar Binks was a George Lucas creation with unfettered control.
I think I would have been fine with this weirdo follow-up one because I would have looked at it, hearing what it's about, and seeing the trailers, being like, what the fuck is this wackadoodle nonsense? I'd have just probably laughed at it and gone, all right, George, let's see what's next, and not really taking stock, because the whole thing is, you don't have if George, the only person who gets to slap the word Star Wars on it and say, this is Star Wars, end of story, is George Lucas, because it's his universe. And so he gets to do that. Hooray. No one else, there's no higher authority in the world to say that's not Star Wars than the guy who created it in the first place. So you can't really have that, even with the prequels, even being disappointed, ultimately with what we got for that. It doesn't have the same detrimental effect on the fans and on the way we relate to our Star Wars. So I don't think Star Wars loses anything as an IP and its place in our hearts and our lives if George goes on to make 3 more not so great Star Wars films. I think that it just becomes another piece in the puzzle of watching the decline of a man who had it all, essentially. And it becomes an interesting conversation in film study classes, and a funny thing that we all watch, and when we get really, really drunk, go, hey, you want to put on one of George's sequel trilogies, and I'm fine with that. So to that extent, yeah, I'd be interested just to see, like, because because realistically, I'm more curious to know how George Lucas thinks the saga goes in parts, 7, 8, and 9 than anyone else in the world. And so if anyone's going to get to tell that story, why not? He should be the one to tell it, for better or for worse, for shitty or for good, And then look, because of course there's the silver lining. What if it's good? What if somehow it's good, and then we get more Star Wars? Hooray!
I think one of the biggest missed opportunities, or one of the things that people forget about, yes, Star Wars is big IP, and everyone's like, yeah, it's this vast universe, and everybody loves everything in it. The shit that makes the most money is based off about 4 or 5 characters, and nobody's fucking tired of them.
And here's the thing that I think George Lucas would have done and would have done right, is I think he would have found some way, if he was going to carry on and make more Star Wars, even if they weren't, a core part of the story he was telling. I do think he would have found some way to bring Carrie, Mark, and Harrison back together.
You forgot our favorite actor's name?
No, I just deliberated whether it was going to come out as Harrison or Harry.
I've never heard you call him Harry Ford ever.
Me neither. I almost never do. But
I mean,
figured I was going with
Solo,
the first names. Figures go with the first names. That was but no. Mark Harry. I think he would have brought the 3 of them back together, and I think we would have seen that. I think he would have had the intelligence to do that, and I think that him working with those characters, I think we would have recaptured that in a way that.
That way, I agree 100% with you. Everything you're saying. I actually wish that if we would have got episode 7 with the original characters back, and he did it, then I think it would have felt more like Star Wars. Because then, too, instead of rehashing the first movie, I think the crew on set would be like, remember when George almost had a heart attack?
Oh, yeah.
It would you would foster this crazy shit, and
that's exactly what I was thinking. It's exactly what I think it would be if you'd recapture some of that magic. You'd bring them back to, oh God, remember the last time we did this, and all of that fun, and all those memories, and all the where we've come from there, how far we've
Princess
come.
Leia would have been amazing in that movie.
Oh God, it would have been so interesting because I think that these journeys that these individual people have gone on would have been reflected in the performance, and I think that's I made a video. I called it "The Greatest Crime of Kathleen Kennedy," and that's what I talked about. There is the worst thing she did, the thing that or the most unforgivable crime of Kathleen Kennedy, because you can't forgive it because it can never be fixed. The greatest crime was never making sure, as the caretaker of this franchise, never making sure that happened, and that was a goddamn shame, and it can't be fixed. But yes. Craig Kirby, thank you for the super chat. This is Fanboys. Shatner. Are you kidding? I can score anything.
William Shatner.
Fanboys is a great movie.
You've never seen it,
right? No, Fanboys is the one that I have seen.
Okay.
Right? Fanboys is the one. Hold on. Wait, maybe I haven't. Have I seen Fanboys? Which one is Fanboys?
The one where the guy's sick with cancer.
Yes, where they want to see episode 1. Yes, okay. That's what I thought. Okay, I have seen it.
Damn fine.
Now, the scene where they fight the Star Trek fans is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite part.
I like what. Okay, so the subtle digs at Star Trek fandom, dude, and the movie is so great. I love how they do the statue and they have these ginormous dicks, and then it's so weird. That's the weird obsessive shit that Star Trek fans growing up. That's the type of people I knew. It's fuck.
They did it so spot on, and that's why it was so delightful because they did it with an understanding of what Star Trek fan. They probably fucking are all Trekkies themselves too, So they definitely did it with an understanding of what it means to be a Trekkie.
God, when they run over that statue in the van, God.
Oh God!
Rogan for the win in that fucking movie.
That movie was fucking phenomenal. Yeah. No, what haven't I seen? It's the Revenge of the Nerd. I haven't seen. I'm trying to think what else that sounds. It's in those Nerd Boy.
Revenge of the Nerds is more like Animal House than it is Fanboys.
Nice.
It's it's the '80s equivalent, and it's just as raunchy. And
I'm all for it.
What Animal House would have been just made 5 years later.
I'm all for it.
It's nowhere near as good.
What's up, ML Maven? Welcome to the party.
Hello, ML Maven.
Greg Kirby says I must say. I will, Greg Kirby. It is on the list. It's definitely on the list of things that we are going to see. Doc Holliday says Sith are better than Jedi. To me, they were definitely way cooler. I was a kid with an active imagination. Had all the played with my imaginary friends in the playground and stuff like that. And the Star Wars characters are my first imaginary friends. And so when I was in kindergarten, was when the dark side first began to tempt me. Kindergarten, I was like, all right, it's so much fun hanging out with my buddies Luke and Han all day long and stuff, but I wonder what it'd be like to hang out with Darth Vader instead. And Darth Vader was pretty cool. So that was my first, like, let's dip my toes in the dark side and see what that's like.
After my first introduction to Star Wars, I went, lightsabers are cool, but I like Han Solo, so I didn't give a shit about Jedi and stuff as a kid.
I cared a lot about the Jedi stuff. I kind of always wanted to be like a Han Solo with a lightsaber type. But Luke was my favorite at the very, very beginning. And then
Same here.
Han was my favorite within the first year.
I just remember you could gauge it. Like, the first Star Wars Christmas was 1996 for me.
Yeah.
So I got all this Luke Skywalker shit. Like, I had all the Luke costumes, all the ships that Luke would pilot. And then by the time we get to the next year, it's, Mom, you gave me the wrong Han Solo figure. I need the one with the vest. Then I need the one with Jabba the Hutt. Then I need this one. And then it was, it has to stop this day. I still got Han Solos up there.
I'm very aware. So here's the thing about me as a child. I was weird about when my favorites changed. You would think logically when you got a new favorite, the thing that used to be your favorite would become your second favorite, right?
You hated it?
Yeah. No, that was like red was my first favorite color. And then it became orange first. I'm pretty sure being orange is my brother's favorite color. And then it became blue later on. But when I switched from red to orange as my favorite color, red wasn't my second favorite color. I hated red. Red became my least favorite color. And when you get a little pack of crayons that had a red crayon in it, like when you're at a restaurant or something, the red crayon had to be segregated from the other crayons. I put it separate from the other crayons. So when Han became my favorite character, Luke did not become my second favorite character. Luke became this pussy little bitch that I didn't have time for anymore. So
poor Luke.
And it wasn't until I got older and got over that I was like, that Luke's awesome, obviously. So Ginger Viking Jesus, thank you for the super chat. Also, what's up? I haven't heard from you in a minute, but I'm glad you're still around. It says, Jesse, you'd still rock a curved tilt lightsaber. The lightsaber form that uses a style of lightsaber is closest in Star Wars to fencing. This is what I understand. That's why Dooku's lightsaber has the curved tilt and whatnot. Fun fact, though, so that curved tilt is that sort of curved hilt mimics specifically the hilt of a fencing saber, as opposed to any other fencing weapons, whose grips are either much weirder or much straighter. The funny thing is, though, I actually prefer a straight grip on my fencing weapons. Saber grips, some of them still have a pretty decent amount of curve to them when you're holding on to them. It just helps with some of the actions that you do. A straight grip changes the way you make those actions. It's a little bit harder to make some of the cuts, but your parries are a little stronger. And I've just always I got these Leon Paul leather rip straight grips years ago, and those are still the same ones I use, even though I have to wrap tape over them to keep them grippy and whatnot. But I like a straight grip. I don't know why. I just like the straight grip.
I always hate how in the prequels, though, the lightsaber hilts were so thin and small.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't like
that.
I
like
either.
The bigger,
I like them
even
either.
Anakin's second one in episode 2, which looks exactly like his finalized one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really thin, light version of it. And I was like, these look
too... Which is kind of funny, because it's like stylistically, they went towards a sleeker, more fencing-esque weapon, even though, in terms of the visual design, even though the fighting styles moved away from a very Western fencing-based one and more into, exploring, bringing in different fighting elements like capoeira and Eastern.
And one weird comment to make, too, like, the cool thing about the Star Wars that we grew up with is that you could reenact the lightsaber duels. Most kids can't do the shit, flip around and stuff. I'm not saying that really adds, because yes, it's visually appealing, but there's just something to be said that you can walk up and down the stairs with your friends and reenact that shit from Return of the Jedi.
Oh god, yeah.
Quote the lines and dialogue and do all that shit.
For sure, our lightsaber fights got stupider after the prequels, because you'd be pretending to do a flip or a jump, and it would just...
You're like, wait, let me spin around. The only person
spinning now.
Okay, you had a spin from Obi-Wan in the first movie, and you had a spin and a flip from Luke in the second movie, and you had a backflip third. See, conservative evolution of the lightsaber. It got cooler as Luke trained more.
Exactly. It made sense.
Unlike Rey, who just was like...
So my brother had the Darth Vader costume when we were kids. We were talking about the Star Wars costumes the other day. John had the Darth Vader costume, and he had with the plastic mask and all that stuff. When the white retractable lightsaber.
Oh,
Why it was white, I have no idea, but it was white. So
you might have had like a. Did the costume come with it?
that's what the costume
Because they
came
were
with.
really shitty with lightsaber toys up
Yeah.
until about
I had this
96.
big bulky handle that my probably still can barely fit my tiny hands around and whatnot. Put a battery in it, it lit up and all that stuff, but it went out or in. And we'd had it. It was perfect. We'd had it sitting out in the center hall of my house. When you first walk in, because I had been using it for that sketch that I did for my high school project. And my sister and I just happened. She had fenced for a few years. I think she might probably still fencing at this particular time, and I was fencing, and so we had some of our weapons were down. This actually might have been out for something else before that. Then I was like, I feel like I was still using a foil then. I switched to saber early on. Anyway, I digress. So she and I were just having a little like silly, let's have a sword fight in our not like a fencing style one, but like going for a movie style one in our house and whatnot. And she disarmed me, and I just happened to roll over, grab, and parry with the lightsaber in that perfect moment. It was like so cinematic and beautiful. But anyway, again, I digress. Greg Kirby says, my Christmas, thank you for the super chat, by the way, says, my Christmas 1978, I got Luke's land speeder and Darth Vader figure case with figures. And I was in New Zealand for Christmas. Oh, so that sounds like a great Christmas, dude. You were in New Zealand, which is an amazing country, and you got some pretty sweet presents.
So Star Wars Christmases. So Christmas 96, I got the Falcon. This is from multiple people, by the way. My mom bought me the Falcon. I also got the X-Wing, the TIE Fighter, and I had the Land Speeder. Because Darth Vader's TIE Fighter didn't come out in the 90s until 97 when they redid it completely. Then the following year, I also got the AT-AT Walker. I never had a Snowspeeder as a kid. So I had a Walker, no Snowspeeder. But I also had Luke's T-16 Skyhopper, which is a weird-ass toy to own, but I liked it.
My brother might have had a Lego Snowspeeder. I don't think we had a Snowspeeder toy either, actually.
He would have been in high school when the Lego Snowspeeder.
Yeah.
Or late grade school was the same age as me, and the first licensed Lego set was Star Wars from '99.
Mm-hmm. And John was all over that stuff. Scottish Nerd, thank you for the super sticker.
Ooh, nice icon, by the way.
Excellent icon. And it's a black cat. I guess we must clearly be in Halloween season. Since we're getting all these black cats. Oh, I still have to write the rent check tonight.
You do. I gave you my half a while ago. But check this out. I got something saved for us. Speaking of Halloween, there's the official Halloween timeline. So this year I'm going to show you a few more, but not every one of your. Believe me, I'm not going to make you sit through Halloween Resurrection.
Oh, hooray.
Oh, we should play this game too.
Would say Michael is chasing you. Type I tripped over and then use autocomplete. All right, let's do it right now.
All right.
Okay. What did you trip over? Let's see.
How many times do you want to press the center button? Don't you agree that Vest is worse on the Rock, by the way?
That's terrible. Oh, God. I tripped over the floor yesterday morning.
I tripped over to my parents' house for the weekend, so we will have a few days of work. And I would love for the boys and I, if we could, have them all over again.
It's like your run-on sentence from last week. Yeah, I tripped over the floor yesterday morning.
I was frozen today.
Mine feels very on brand for me.
Gotta tell you something after the stream.
Okay, I'm excited. Just make sure that thing is Jesse. Write the rent check and go put it in the box.
Well, it's gonna be like I gotta figure out dinner plans, but
that too. Ginger Viking Jesus, thank you for the super chat. Darth Bane used a curved hilt lightsaber. It's hard to defend against because the blade isn't where it would normally be with the normal saber. Makes sense.
Darth Bane was the ball. Right?
It creates definitely, depending if you're a person who uses where the hand is as your visual reference to where the blade's going to be, it's definitely going to fuck you up on that front. It's also when you have a curved hilt. Say the thing about when you have a curved hilt on a weapon, it changes the velocity of your cutting motion. So it accelerates through the end of the cut. So it changes the timing too, versus, when somebody sees the action versus when they have to parry it and whatnot. So, from a technical standpoint, if you're not force sensitive person who knows where it's going to be, then it definitely, it gives you that advantage as well. It makes your cuts faster ultimately. But yeah, that's interesting. And that makes sense. In every way you slice it. So are we doing a Schmadlib tonight?
It's your show. You make the call.
We should do a Schmadlib.
All right. Where's the book?
What I should have done is put things out there earlier so people could have started super chatting us and Soldier Shones. Where the book is, I don't know. We had it on Thursday because we did our Bill and Ted one, which was excellent. I really enjoyed that one.
Folks, make sure you watch Jesse's review. I almost called you Billy. I was like, that's his daughter's name.
What happens to this here? It's right here. All right, which one do you want to do? Actually, I think I only have
After Dark. So. Indiana Jones is somewhere else.
That's a lot.
Let's do our After Dark.
Cool. Your pen is not in here.
I know.
Do you know where it is?
It should be in the sketchbook.
There was an open pen over there earlier.
I see a pen. Just give me a second. There we go.
Thank you. Pen. All right, so
get outcome. Pen.
So we are going
to
take your souls chat.
I thought you were going to say, we'll take your soul. I'm like, fuck. I'm in the mood for Halloween.
We are definitely going to need to get a new one of these soon, though, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I'm
7,
scroll this. Somebody asked me a specific question.
8. I have 8 left, including tonight. So,
Character companion, my favorite lightsaber duel in the saga is Empire Strikes Back, because to me, a lightsaber duel is not about flash and pizzazz; it's about emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's from a strict, what looks coolest, episode 1's, because the music and the two of them fighting Darth Maul was unlike anything we'd ever seen before, and then nothing to me reached that unique novelty. Yeah, Dooku was cool fighting Yoda; it looked neat, and I liked Yoda having the power to just grab his lightsaber through the air and shit. That was neat. But was it as like, wow, holy shit, as much as that second blade coming out of the lightsaber? No. And then you get to episode 3, and everyone's like, Anakin and Obi-Wan's the best one. Is it
a really bad
they
fight.
They throw hands at each other and they fly across the room. It's intercut with a lot of stuff.
It's actually a really bad sword fight. I talk about this all the time. In terms of your emotional narrative and whatnot, sure, it's a great fight. But and I talk about this a lot always when I criticize the choreography in the sequels. A good fight is not about really flashy visuals while you're telling a story some other way. A good fight is about using the moves and the choreography to enhance the story that you're telling. And that was something to me that episode 3 fell short on all the way around in every one of its fights. I think the most emotionally the one where the fighting is the most tied to the story, I think, is Yoda and Darth Sidious. But even
so
then,
weird hearing you call Palpatine Darth Sidious.
I always feel like in that moment, though, like he's still Darth Sidious in a way. I don't know. It's like that's before his full ascension.
No.
That's what I was thinking. I always think of like pre-Emperor. He's Senator Palpatine and Darth Sidious, and then he just becomes Emperor Palpatine.
So we both agree he's never just Sheev.
Fuck that. All right. Yeah. So, yeah. So to me, like 3 is really lacking in that regard, because then, yeah, even though the fight and the story go together well in the Yoda one, it's still all CGI, and you just lose something without having actual combatants.
Now, humor me. What's the sword style in the newer ones where they just kind of throw like themselves into it? Because Kylo Ren just throws his arm out like this. That's how he fights, like that. And Rey just throws her arm out. They don't swing like they used to, or anything. They just kind of.
Oh no, they do swing a lot. Actually, they take both hands over their head like this, and they swing in this arcing motion at the space in front of each other. Yeah,
it looks like shit.
That's called bushwhacking. Usually done with a machete and brush. And then that
I know, and they also will find that lady dead on her front steps.
And that other thing they do where they kind of just try to hit each other's lightsabers is called children playing with sticks in the backyard.
Okay,
that's
I thought it looks familiar.
Yeah, that's
but Oh, seriously,
That's
you know
what
what I'm talking about? How he always
yeah.
like he does this like stupid downward thrusting.
Oh my god,
hate...
that's the worst one, because the whole thing when he does that one, he's not even thrusting at her. He does this. He fucking stabs the fucking ground. He does this because it looks really cool if he makes this big arcing thing, sweeping thing that looks like he's stabbing it towards her, even though the entire arc just takes it into the fucking ground. And as he's doing that, she can fucking weed whack her way into it, and they can have this great clash. The entire thing, all the choreography in the prequels or in the sequel trilogy is just what would look cool on film. Let's make it as big and wavy and flashy, and it'll look really cool. Newsflash, it doesn't look cool. It looks asinine. It only looks cool to the morons that you're clearly making this shit for, because the rest of us have fucking brains and know the difference between good and crap entertainment.
Shit and Shinola. That's from the jerk. Ooh, add that to the list of classic comedies we should watch soon.
We should. My mom keeps telling me to watch that one too.
Yeah. Poor Black Joe.
All right. So we've got some I'll read this from Scottish Nerd. We'll go back and I'll take those Mad Lib suggestions and dive into our Mad Libs. Scottish Nerd, thank you. The super chat says, Return of the Jedi as Luke is also dueling the dark side inside. That's my favorite, and that is one of the reasons why I like it too, is that it really is this perfect representation of the struggle between good and evil, and the fight is really happening inside of Luke, and Darth Vader's just the manifestation of that.
Remember that half?
Oh
dark,
yeah,
half
it's
light
such a beautiful
dichotomy?
shot. Oh my god! And then and that's what he realized. That's why it's such a beautiful. Again, why the fight tells the story too. Darth Vader's this manifestation of evil that he's fighting against it, and then he realizes at the end he doesn't want to fight. You know, he comes to that, I don't want to fight you and whatnot, and realizes at the end that's the truth, is that he doesn't have to fight him. He doesn't need to fight him in order. He doesn't need to beat Darth Vader hand to hand. He doesn't need to chop him down to defeat the dark side. He needs to defeat that. Defeating Darth Vader is not succumbing to him trying to turn him to the dark side, not succumbing to him trying to get him to strike him down and fight him and attack him and all this stuff, and all that. That's what defeating Darth Vader was, is resisting that temptation in himself, not actually killing his father. And that's why that's the best fight.
And it caps off with, now, where do you consider the fight ending after Luke throws his lightsaber down, or the subsequent resolution to the actual scene where Vader actually turns back? Because to me, when you add that in, that's like adding the whole "I am your father" part to the Empire part.
Yeah.
And I think it's important because to me, it's like the bookend of the lightsaber duel. Yes, you have the inciting incident while you're fighting, but I don't think the fight ends until the greater things resolve. So when Luke throws himself off of the pit in the Empire,
because I think he hasn't truly beaten Darth Vader until he's not only discovered the good for himself, but shown it to his father as well. I think that's part of that struggle as well. Defeating evil is not killing the evil; it's eradicating it from the earth. Which, funnily enough, what a way to look at it. That takes it so far out of the lens of today. We talked a lot earlier in the stream, way earlier in the stream about the polarization of our political climates and the vilification of the other. And that's what we have, right now. And that's what you have in a lot of media, is this ultimate evil that is the white man, or the this, or the what, or that anyone doesn't believe what you believe. Certainly the rhetoric on the right is just as the evil leftist, the evil commies, the evil this. It's just as divisive and just as vilifying as what the left is doing to the right. And so when you go back and look at Star Wars, this old epic struggle between good and evil, what a beautiful sentiment that the person who was representative of evil that whole time, is not forsaken. He's not left to die. He's not vanquished. That's the whole thing. Everyone today, we must vanquish the enemy, vanquish the evil people who don't believe the same political things we do, vanquish the evil people who don't like the same movies we like, vanquish anyone who doesn't, follow our way of living. And the whole thing, the whole message in Star Wars is it's not about vanquishing the enemy. It's about bringing good and spreading good and, all of that.
In that respect, yes. I do think Star Wars, though, in many ways is about vanquishing the enemy with the Empire. They're very disposable, blow them up, kill them, shoot them. Like, Star Wars is much more violent than any other kids' franchise. But we brought up the thing of today. I think because we don't create characters with nuance, and we don't really create long-term characters. A lot of it's cashing in on the then and now. Like, look, MCU's been a fun ride. How many memorable, great villains are there? A small handful of the 23 films. You had Thanos, you had Loki. And really, still not trying to be funny. Malekith sucked.
The great villains?
Yeah, the great villains. The Mandarin's not... I'm not even pissed about the twist. He's not that interesting. Obadiah Stane's probably... Obadiah Stane, up there. But not Whiplash from Iron Man 2 or Justin Hammer. They fucking blow.
None of his other ones.
The Red Skull... But I don't know if I put the Red Skull because he did a lot in that movie, but he never really had any great moments. Like, he was a great villain in montage only.
Well, I think what Marvel does have that I don't think they cash in on enough, though, is they have a faceless empire type in Hydra. You know, and I think that's something that they can use more of.
You know why I don't think they'll ever will, though? Because they're afraid of Hydra, Red Skull, Nazi, this, that. They're so afraid of the optics that realistically, the way the climate is where everyone says you're a Nazi and all this dumb shit, if you put modern Nazis in a movie and all they do is get blown up and shot and killed, who would bitch?
Let's see, all the social justice warriors. Oh my God, there has to be a better way to tell your story than showing actual Nazis. It's so triggering. Because people are like that today, and that's stupid. Regular people won't bitch that.
So if you can find Indiana Jones movies work so well because everyone agrees Nazis were terrible. They did nothing but terrible things. And to watch them get burnt done, blow up, and melt and shit, nobody ever cries a tear for them because they're the ultimate villains. I think where Star Wars, though, is you watch Palpatine be vanquished. Tarkin is this, his own ego vanquishes him. But Vader is like Magneto. Yes, he does bad things, but there's still some redemption to have. There's an element of redemption. That's why Charles will never kill him or do whatever, because X-Men's a little different where they both have the same goal with different means of getting it.
Sure.
But they're still good. But the subjective viewer is
not
good.
absolute.
Yeah.
That's actually why going back, why Darth Vader is such a great character in the long run is because we're presented with him as this absolute evil. Mm-hmm. We're presented with him as this absolute version of evil, and then our perception of that is altered in every in both subsequent films. Which I think is fun and what makes him such a great villain and why he lasts like that. Because we don't, we've seen the redemption arc before. We've seen the conflicted villain. We've seen the villain with the good motives and all that stuff. But there are still very few Darth Vader-y ones who really did fully turn, fully embrace evil, bad, etc. And get humanized at the end. And usually when we do see it, it is through sacrifice, and I think it's important to also acknowledge it's like you realizing that you were wrong doesn't absolve you of the shit you did. It doesn't absolve you from having to pay for it, in this case with your life. Yeah, you blew up a planet, you're going to pay for it. And technically Tarkin blew up the planet, but he's complicit in it.
Everybody on that Death Star was.
That's right. Now that's why they all fucking fried. That's why we don't feel bad about it.
Just weird. One random thought. They don't even fry. They're gone in an instant. Could you imagine and then you don't exist anymore? None of them felt pain.
You're just gone. It's poetic justice for what they did to Alderaan. But you don't see a lot of that. Typically, it's not even an any more thing. It's just in general, I think it's difficult to write, though. I think it is very difficult to write a character that is that seemingly absolutely evil, and set them up and categorize them as this big bad, and then humanize them in a way that we're rooting for the redemption by the end. I think it's a very difficult thing to do, and I think people are mostly usually too lazy to try. But I do think it's one of the things that makes Darth Vader interesting and compelling, is that it's done so successfully with him. Greg Kirby says 4, 5, 6 are the best saber duels, music, romance, and villain. I agree with that statement completely.
God, I can't knock the prequels music though. For every shortcoming it had, John Williams did not miss a fucking
The music
beat.
was up there. The music was definitely up there. In the prequels as well, but for sure I'm with you. The originals just had had the best in everything. There's nothing the prequels did for me where I was like, oh God, that's so much better than something from the originals. I liked the new stuff we got, and there were some things they did do well, but they didn't outshine the originals in any way, in any facet, not even in some small one.
Nope.
even with the CGI, while I think the special effects they used were really good in the prequels, for all the use of practical effects in the originals, they don't suffer one bit for it.
Especially once you get the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
They really perfected the craft.
It's such a good
and
job.
Return of the Jedi, if you go watch the special editions, they don't change the spaceship fights. They don't add any extra shots.
They don't need to.
They
It's
clean
all
up
there
maps,
already.
but it's essentially the same shot you've had since '83.
Exactly. So we did already get 3 different super chat suggestions. We got Beth, dead possum. That's already written in here as a noun.
Should have been dead bird.
Could have been dead bird. We have cornholio. So we do have a person in the room as an option. So should we put this in as a noun, or should we put it as a person in the room? Person in the room. All right, that's what I was leaning towards. All right, cornholio it is.
You need TV for your cornhole.
And we also had from we have 2 more. Actually, we got another one. I didn't see this one at first. From the James Baker, who says, "You guys are awesome. Use double dong for Mad Libs."
Because you asked for it, D. James Baker.
So here's the thing. We only have one part of the body for this Mad Lib. We have 2 suggestions that could be parts of the body. So we have to choose which one's going to go in as a noun and which one's going to go in as a part of the body. So, Obi-Wan, thank you for the super chat. He gave us disembodied charred phallus. So, double dong or disembodied charred phallus as body part?
Disembodied charred phallus. What are you thinking? Double dong. The only reason I say that is because Darth Vader's disembodied charred phallus is a joke account on the channel, and somebody sent me one.
I mean, they're both going in the Mad Libs.
Well, I understand that, but that's why I instantly went to that. Cause
I feel like double dong works better as a part of the body, and because this is very much a noun, it's very much separate, because it's disembodied. So
that's gross, but okay.
I guess having the word disembodied kind of disqualifies it as a part of the body, doesn't it?
You went on that one, Milestone.
There you go. All right. So from D. James Baker, we have double dong. That was who had sent that chat in, right? Or did I get that wrong?
You're right. You're both awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, D. James Baker. And from Obi-Wan 2783, we'll throw that in as a noun. I don't know. I've heard of him once or twice. Disembodied.
We ate all that delicious pulled pork.
Phallus. I saw it. Did you was that the rest of it from the That's what I figured. It's gone already, Obi-Wan. It's gone.
It's so good.
All right, so that is what we have suggestion-wise so far. We still got a F-ton of adjectives and nouns and verbs. So we're gonna still give you guys the extra ones. Every third one goes to the chat. Super chats certainly, as always, they get a spot. So just letting you know, we do have we have a couple of verbs, bunch of nouns and adjectives, a whole lot of adjectives to influence what your suggestions are. So the first thing, chat, that you guys are working on will be one of those nouns. And Jeff, you're going to give me an adverb.
Ly. Poorly.
Poorly. All right, an adjective. Let me go with crappy.
Yeah.
Crappy little coat.
Short
tail. Stinky little ears. Pancake. Oh, we should have showed that before we did the Mad Libs. We'll show at the very end. Stay tuned to the very end for Pancakes' first video. And make sure you all go subscribe to him. And
Hello.
Stuff. Yeah, stuff. All right. So crappy was mine.
Whoever Doc Holliday is gets my nod of approval.
So uvula, rotator cuff, enema, anal tropics,
what?
Rusty rod.
A rusty rod.
Oh, I skipped an adjective. They were supposed to do an adjective. That's all right. You'll just get it next instead. Let me see. Also, oh, having so much fun. This is excellent. All right, marriage. Oh, kitty cat. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I don't
here,
know.
kitty cat.
I don't know if I want to force my cats to be in this. Colloidal suspension. Reflection. Gangrenous. There's an adjective. I guess I could just take some extra chat suggestions tonight, right?
Yeah.
Gangrenous is good. I'll throw that as that adjective that I needed. So thank you, Eye of Sauron. And then for nouns, anything you were feeling specifically from these noun suggestions? I liked enema, actually.
Go for it.
I don't think we've done that one before.
Of the state or domestic?
Well, all right. So chat, you'll get.
It's a movie, Greg. It's the box set. It showed up today.
Chat, you'll be hooking us up with an adjective next. So get some adjectives rocking and rolling. And Jeff, an adjective from you as well.
I just want to give a shout out to Brian Babin. Anyway, an adjective.
Mm-hmm.
How about?
Oh, and apparently we're only 1 like away from 100. So oppress.
How about?
This is 2 likes away.
Douchey.
Over here. Douchey. Solid.
Well, Obi-Wan just means he fixed the ribs. They were delicious, but now we have to go
We have
back.
to go back and find out what they're really supposed to taste like. All right, I have a noun. Let's see. What? Dildo.
I love how we made a concerted effort to use the word dildo more often to describe things.
Dildo cat.
Dildo.
Dildo cat. All right. Ooh, obtuse. That's a good adjective.
There's a
I
good
don't
one.
think we used before. Oppressible. Ha! Nice. Peppered. Peppered's a good one. Sucking. Also a good one. Horrific. Definitely horrific is a good one.
You should do horrific in the spirit of early Halloween, since I'm gonna drag you kicking and screaming to enjoy the holiday.
I should, but I think I'm gonna go with obtuse.
Go for it. Oh, do I get to use a verb?
You might.
Okay, I got one. I don't have to. Whatever I get, I get.
Actually, you're gonna get a verb next.
Cool.
Or actually, you were supposed to get an adjective, but I'll give you a verb because I'm nice. Chat, you guys are working on a verb that ends in ing for us, and that means I have to take the adjective.
Deep thought. I can see it in your face.
Bloated.
Bloated, dead on a toilet seat.
All right, what's that verb?
Honey dick.
What does that even mean?
Something Dion made up on the show. It's like being duped. Oh, I got honey dicked.
Okay.
You think about it, you're just like, oh.
Verb, cunning.
Love
Fapping.
hard.
Lol. We should use fapping from
Deal.
Ginger Viking Jesus. I've told you that the acronym for my first fencing club was FAP, right? And then I had a sweatshirt that said Fat Fap on the back. Why it said it twice, I have no idea. But it was popular. It was definitely popular. All right, sorry, we're going with fapping. Oppressing. Actually, would have been a funny one too. I love it. I do love oppressing the like button, so as you guys well know. Chat, you got an adjective next, so carry on. I might use oppressive. Who knows?
Oppressive. Most oppressive.
Oppressive.
But you are not a bullshitter.
Jeff, you get an adjective.
How about icy? I knew a girl whose name was Icy.
A noun for me. Death. There's your Halloween fucking theme. Gyrating. Mystic. Hoary. Salivating. Scoring like Shatner. Magical.
Scoring like chef.
Undulating.
Ooh, use that one for hips.
All right, Shadzar. Shadzar is really going to town tonight. Undulating it is. And Jeff, you're going to finish it off with an adjective.
How about velvety?
Lol. All right, guys. Today, we have just written lingerie for dummies.
I'm glad I didn't read that yet.
Me too. I actually did not even read that either, even though I'm sitting here writing down the whole thing. All right, guys. You ready? Lingerie for dummies?
Lingerie for dummies.
You've poorly memorized the Kama Sutra, and you're ready to get crappy and heavy with your dead possum friend. There's only one thing missing: the perfect outfit for your night of epic, gangrenous lovemaking. If you really want to get your lover's disembodied chart phallus running, head to Cornholio's Secret and pick out the perfect enema for the occasion.
Hold on, wait.
Look at something running with an
There
enema.
we go.
All right,
Cornholio.
Cornelia. You can't lose with one of the following. Baby doll. A short, douchey nightgown. Looks best when worn with a dildo or thong. Corset. Suck in that double dong. This obtuse bodice gives you bloated curves, even if you can't honey dick while wearing it. French maid. Not just for fapping up on Halloween. Just don't be icy when your lover asks you to clean the death when you're done. Ew. Garter belt. Act out this undulating fantasy and dress up like a velvety secretary. Just add glasses to complete the look.
I actually like that one.
The velvety secretary?
Mm-hmm. The undulating hips or whatever, whatever.
Undulating fantasy?
Yeah.
There you go. Well,
You're my undulating fantasy.
that's
Thank you for the compliment, Jeff.
Thank you. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Sure.
Well, that'll just about do it for us tonight, but I did want to share with you, we're very proud. Our little boy's going to be a star. We killed Ginger Viking Jesus. So good. But our little boy's going to be a star, and he's got a video and stuff, and I think you guys should see it now. So, here. It's time. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Pancake. Did we get our 100 likes? We did. Woo. That and more. Hooray! Make sure you guys subscribe. So Pancake's link, I'm just posting that in the chat right there. Make sure you guys sub to the little boy and check out his little movie. Let me know what you guys think. Hello! I'm Pancake, and welcome to my house. It is fun. It's my very first video. Hooray! Hooray for me! Hooray for all of us! Hooray for especially me! And so I thought I guess I'd say some stuff about me. Well, I'm a cat, obviously, as you can see. But I'm also a person. Because my mom and papa, you see, they're people. Yeah, they're persons, and so I'm persons too. Well, I'm a person, just one of me. I'm also a macaroni mongoose. You see, I got these macaroni penguin eyebrows right here. Here they are, found them. And also, you can't really tell, but my legs are very short, like a mongoose. So I got some mongoose in me. In fact, actually, my other name's Mr. Mongoose, Mr. Mongoose, which is why maybe it's been suggested that maybe I'm from the Dutch. But I'm not really sure what that means. Also, I don't think I can be, because Mom and Papa are not from the Dutch, and I'm from Mom and Papa, obviously. So, I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Papa also says I'm adorable. Oh, hi, big brother. I mean, say brother, any little brother. I'm not sure. I think we were born like the same time. We're not. It's my brother Jane. He wasn't supposed to be here yet, but I guess you can say hi to Jane now. So, hello. So what was I saying? Oh, right. Oh yeah, Papa says I'm also adorable. But it doesn't make a lot of sense either, because I'm not a door. And for sure not a bull. And so I'm pretty confused about that. So we're gonna meet my oldest brother. His name's Han Solo, but we call him Splash. A Splash! And that was Splash. So, yeah. Okay, how about my other brother, Lando? Let's see. Lando, hi! My name is Lando, you miserable wretch. Goodbye. I don't think Hello. Goodbye.
Bye. So yeah, that's my brothers and stuff. Oh. I forgot to tell you a thing about me. So I got a stink ear. It's in my ear. Mom says it's an infection, but I thought infection was good. So I don't know why she keeps acting like it's a bad thing. Confused about that one too. Lots of things in this life are confusing, but it's okay. You know, one thing that doesn't have to be confusing is how to tell me apart from my brothers. Because I wrote you this little song. You can sing along at home, and that's how you'll know. It goes like this. Crappy little coat, short little tail, stinky little ears, pancake. And that's my favorite song, except for all the other songs that I like too, and stuff. So, thanks for watching Pancake, and goodbye.
So, yeah, that's Pancake. So I hope you guys subscribe to him, and I hope you guys watch his videos. And yes, those were 3 distinct cats that were all thrown onto the bed in succession there. So I'm actually really impressed that we got all 3 of those in one take in order. That was the most impressive thing thus far. But stay tuned, because there'll be more Pancake every Monday and Thursday. Every Monday and Thursday forever now. So subscribe to Pancake. Tell all your friends. Tell anyone who is old enough to hear the word shit. And
Everyone is.
Yep.
Because everyone's old enough to watch Back to the Future and the Goonies.
There you go. So there you go. That's Pancake. That's what's up. And yay! Oh yay! Hooray! Jake is subscribed. He's got a new subscriber. Hooray! Okay, now I have to figure out what's following up that. I was like, Jesse, I was a bit. I'm like, what? That was better than Cats 2019.
High compliment or low bar?
I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it.
A win's a win.
A win is a win. And so thank you once again, guys, for tuning in, for joining us tonight, for being part of the stream. It's been a pleasure having you. It's been a pleasure doing it, as it always is. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll finish the way that we do. Night Talk Holiday. Good night, everyone else.